living anyway? What do you do during the day? What do you
Live.
work?
We're live.
He's like, I'm retired, and I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you're retired? He's like, yeah, I'm retired. I happen to be a really good Madden player. I won a half a million one time and bought an apartment complex, and then just retired collecting rent.
And welcome to a Buddyfight stream, everybody.
All right, there you go, Don. We live.
We've been
Welcome
live
everybody.
for 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Daniel Benedetto. We got Juan over here. Juan Mango. Needs no introduction.
Yo.
We also got Matt Soviero.
Got it
That's
right.
Nice. Matt Soviero over there, and Jake Stanton of TBI.
Jake from
Hey,
State
guys.
Farm from TBI, yo. Hashtags.
Our purpose here today is we are here on behalf of the North America Buddyfight Facebook group page. We are doing a Dragon World brush up, basically a overview of the world to help not only Dragon players get up to speed and get atop of their game, but also to help out those playing against Dragon World to be able to learn and get in the mind of a Dragon player. First of all, I just want to introduce ourselves. Again, I am Dex Benedetto, people call me. I generally play a lot of generic Dragon stuff. I really appreciate generic Dragons for the ability that they are. Dragon World is oversaturated with support. We will not say that it's not, but I think that Dragon World gets a little bit too much beef, only because of the fact that they have such a large support and such a large card pool, you can pretty much build whatever kind of strategy you want. You want to play defensive, aggressive, you can play anything you want with Dragon World, and I think that's actually what makes it one of the more skillful worlds to play, only for the fact that you, as the player, have complete control in your own success, which is just a great thing. So, generic Dragons is kind of my forte. I have played a bit of Thunder Knights. I did have a lot of fun with Thunder Knights. I haven't hit too much at Crimson's yet, and started dipping my feet into drums, but that's just me in a nutshell. I know you guys know I also placed fourth and second in the last two New York events with Super Armored Dragons, and that's basically me. Juan, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Juan Mango here again, coming at you with a Google Hangout. Never done this before. Thank you.
Get hands.
Basically, I play Thunder Knights. Mainly, I've just been playing a lot of Thunder Knights and also Drum Fist. Let's see, I have my own YouTube channel that you guys know, Juan Mango. You're here, and basically, I topped twice at regionals. I topped 8. Didn't go any further than that. In Albany, and then not this last one, but the one before. What else about myself? That's it. And Bears in the background here. Yeah, I'm just happy to talk some Dragon World, and Don said a lot of what we're gonna talk about, so I don't need to go anywhere else. But here is Jake from State Farms. He has really good savings for you.
Or we could just skip right over the order, but okay. I'm Jake from State Farm. All the hashtags, as you see every Wednesday, hopefully. As a Dragon World experienced player, I was playing Dragon Knights way, way back when Quixote was always your buddy and Red Baron was relevant.
Yeah, I remember that.
I played Dragon Knights, I had all the blue shields, had the Dragon Anthems, annoyed the fuck out of everybody. Trounced with Richard. Who uses that anymore? Does anybody use that? You have so much better things. Where's Richard?
Sitting in the trade bar.
Right. And then I took a long hiatus from the idea of Dragon World because everything was money and I couldn't do it. And luckily the next base set will change that.
Yeah.
But I already have 4 blue shields, so I'm good. But then I came back with my current Dragon World deck.
So derpy.
It's the derpiest. I came back with drums, and I'll throw in my hat for our Crimson Fist decks today. So yeah, now we throw over to my man Matt over there, where's he pointed for somewhere.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Matt. I was playing Buddyfight since around the times of BTO2, CPO1 came out, and I've been playing Dragon Knights from the very beginning. Many of you may know I'm not affiliated with any team, but I do associate with John Muir, Michael Charmack, and Chris Nieves, who I want to give a shout out to. Hoping he's doing all right. I'm filling in for him tonight. And I'm going to talk to you about Dragon Knights, how they were played, how they're played now, and how many different combinations you can come up with just any possible deck you want to build with Dragon Knights. You can pretty much build it, no matter what you want to do, defensive, offensive, strategy, stall, balanced. There's so many options, and we're going to get into all that. But for now, let's begin. Let's jump right into it.
Okay, so what we decided was we figured we'd go into generic Armored Dragons first. That way we could cover a lot of the, basically the staples of Dragon World, as well as a lot of the cute stuff that you can do that's not archetype dependent, because a lot of that stuff can be played in a lot of these different archetypes, as we've seen before. You know, we've seen Blue Sky Knights being teched in other decks, or more specifically, just Penguin dude. But
or
so,
you could tech in a lot of them in 4000 Festival.
Yeah, that's another generic deck that's quite fun.
It's annoying.
So, yeah, right now we're gonna bring up Buddyfight area. I was busy putting everything together, so didn't have a chance to actually pull out my cards. Actually, if somebody can help me with that, would be great. But in the meantime, let's get into it. Why do we play Dragon World? 8 Dragon Shields. That basically is one of your main reasons for playing Dragon World. It's obviously
do you count sideboard at an event or local tournament that uses sideboard? Because then you might want to play 10.
Yeah, well,
play 10 for Excalibur.
8 auto.
8 auto, and then either 2 white shielded or 2 gold shield, which I'll get into for Excalibur and shit that can't be mobile.
Because playing other decks, playing other worlds that have shields that don't do anything, you have a shield that gauges, and you have a shield that gives you a life.
That's the key.
Being able to have those 2 shields that actually do something and go into building your deck, because you have if you have the blue shield to gauge, then you know, hey, that's going to be an extra gauge. I can then use this card or use this card, where you have, that's the thing in the game. You have to minimize and really see how much gauge you're using. So having that blue shield opens up a lot of more cards for you.
Oh, man.
At the same time, though, you have to think about, and I think this should all be something we talk about with our specific archetypes, except for Daniel, because his will be so broad, is, are there any cards where you can throw in the poor man's version, and what could they be? Like,
well, I mean, like
poor man's blue shield out there.
Well, like what Juan said, you know, it's not that the fact that we have 8 shields, it's the fact that we have 8 dragon shields. Like, what they do is what makes them so amazing. So, like, what, you know, if a budget is a budget, okay? Listen, you're not going to get the best effects or the most optimal, ideal thing from your card, but you're going to get the general basis of what you need. You know, white dragon shields, green dragon shields are cheap as
well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like instead of blue, you could use a Primeval, and you'll still go plus off it if you meet the condition.
Right, if you meet the condition. I mean, granted, we're not going to play for that. We're going to play it so we don't die. So you can play things like Primeval. You can play things like, you know, Flying Dragon Shield. You can play things like White Dragon Shield. I mean, there's a lot of Dragon Shields out there that you could play. And even more so, I feel more for a budget player. My advice to them is if you're not going to be able to afford blue shields for a while, and you're relying on not having blue shields, I would recommend that you build a deck that can take advantage of a lot more of other lot more of the other spells that Dragon World has, because Dragon World has a lot of spells and doesn't necessarily need to play Dragon Shields to win. Like, there's a lot of things you can do. So, like,
I had Primevals instead of blues, and instead of leaving my center open all the time, I could block Ozzy and still have something in my way.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could find a substitute for blue shield like you had done for your deck, because obviously you can't really play what I'm talking about so much. But, like, there's, you know, again, there's a lot of units in Dragon World. You know, there's a lot of monsters that have just, you know, amazing effects and can be played in all different types of ways. So, you know, and then our spell lineup is just tremendous. I mean, you want to increase in battle, you got it. You want to destroy stuff during your battle phase, you got it. You want to destroy any card on the board, you got it. Like, you know, you want to draw cards, you got it. Like, Dragon World can pretty much do anything. So it's really you know, if you can't afford the blue shields, okay, well, let me make a deck that doesn't require me to have to play an absurd amount of gauge, and maybe
I'll delve
a
into
deck
that
I
more.
can wall up a little bit more and play things like, oh, I don't know, Drago defense and Drago energy and Wrath the Dragon, or Drago Dragon Thunders and Dragonic Shoots and things. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things you can do.
Right. I'll definitely delve into that stuff more when it comes around to me. But we got our other people too.
Yes. Anyway, Dragon Shields. Juan, how are we looking on the comments? Let me know if anybody's got any questions or wants to say anything.
Gotcha.
Obviously, Dragon Shields is a big plus from Dragon World. Again, we have a plethora of monsters, a plethora of spells that you can work with. Generic strategies basically can range from just generic rush. We saw in the very beginning of the game with Gargantuan Rush. That's still very much a thing. The only problem is that monsters and centers have gotten a lot bigger. So being able to just build your deck to rush, you're going to run up against one of those decks, and you're going to have a problem. A prime example of that is a deck that I was hanging out with Jalen one night, and we were laughing at it because I built this deck one night at like 2 o'clock in the morning, forgot all about it, but for some reason I was wrecking with it. And then I brought it out later a little while ago, and it was just having a lot of problems because it had no real kind of extreme destruction besides Day of the Dragon and things like that. So things with Soulguard and stuff like that was causing a problem. So, but it's still very much a thing as long as you take into account that you have to be able to deal with a lot bigger stuff now. It's not the same meta, but we have a lot more tools now. We have Kolek Mirage Dragon, which is the 4 critter that came out in the Bloody Rare set, or the Perfect Pack set. That's a 4 critter that costs 1 life. They gave us a lot of things that cost life instead of even the fist, the new fist, the 3 crit weapon. The 3 crit weapon costs engage. The 2 crit weapon. There's a lot of things that gave us life payments instead of gauge payments, which made Punishers and other impacts and other big gauge plays even more
viable.
Yeah. So so the rush is still very much there. You could play with generic dragons. You could play a very, very defensive build. There's things like Zweidhander Dragon, that's can sit in the center and has counterattack and can basically play an attrition game. You have there are some fun decks I've toyed around with that you can do with the turtles. It's obviously can be maybe not a super competitive deck, but it's definitely very, very lulzy, and it can definitely give somebody a surprise at locals. There's a lot of generic defensive strategies that you can play in Dragon World. Offensively, defensively, we talked about some of the newer ones where we actually have now actual strategies in the generic typing rather than just we're playing these Iron Chain Dragons and these Day of the Dragons, and we're playing these Drum Bunker Dragons and these 1,000 Rapiers and these. Now we got Venom Harp Dragon. Now we have actual strategies like 4K Festival, which you had mentioned before. 4K Festival allowing is another kind of a rush deck, allowing you to basically recur size 1s that have 4K power or less, and they all
penetrate.
Yeah, it gives them all penetrate. So, and if you've been keeping track in generic dragons, we've got quite a few vanillas that they gave us, as well as some other ones that have penetrate in certain effects. There hasn't been a lot to that strategy, which is what I think is going to hold that strategy back a little bit. They haven't really gotten that bomb 4K monster yet. We have some interesting size 2s, but it only works really with size 1s. So there's some issues there, but it is definitely a very cute deck. It can be quite potent when it goes off. But we probably won't see much from that until we get probably a better unit, I would imagine. But again, somebody may crack the code, or somebody may find something that's really good with it. It's definitely, again, I played against it. It's definitely scary when it goes off. This kind of there's like Brave Machines kind of feel, since everybody's on that thing right now. It's kind of like, oh, I can put something in the center, I can leave my center open. Either way, I'm kind of boned. So, especially with a lot of everybody's, all the other world's support requiring either an open center to fully negate an attack. So a lot of penetration plays can't go through. That's pretty much it in the generic playstyles of armored dragons, and I would say armored dragons in general, because DKs are really kind of their own thing. You don't really see too many generic Dragon Knights, because generic our Dragon Knights are already so generic as it is. Like they're an archetype, but they're not limited to a certain playstyle like Thunder Knights are or Crimsons are. You know, they really have a plethora of different kind of strategies they can do. I mean, Thunder Knights have a great gauge engine. Okay, that's what makes Thunder Knights amazing in that they can do almost anything. You know, they can play, you know, like a whole bunch of different things. But like Dragon Knights are kind of their own thing. They can kind of completely change their strategies and the units that they run. So generic dragons are really more geared towards armored dragons. Not really sure what to say as far as like there's so many decks to cover as to what decks you could build. It's really just kind of like the sky's the limit for you. We have a lot of interesting new toys. Like I said, mentioned the 4-crit guy. We had a lot of old toys. I don't think I should really mention the old toys too much, but just to mention some of the VIPs. Iron Chain Dragon was really good for Ritter and other walling style decks. I wasn't a big fan of it, and I kind of still am not, but it's always been there in the side just because it's needed. You have Day of the Dragon and the Viking Sword combo, which is still to this day very, very potent, especially against like rush decks and decks that don't really generate all that advantage. It clears the way for generic dragons to be able to push with their big notorious pushes that they can do for game. So that's a very, very potent strategy as well. That particular strategy, though, I feel is phasing out due to the fact that there's so much counter removal in the game. It's a very, very dangerous thing to set your board up for that Day of the Dragon play, only to have Viking Sword Dragon popped before your battle phase, and then you're just like, well, there goes that. So, you know, I feel like that should probably phase out a little bit, but it's still a very, very potent combo. Also, Gargantuan Blade Dragon has been notorious, and I think we'll still continue to see a lot of play, especially with things like, Brave Machines and superheroes running around, you know, being able to get rid of a lot of their rides, being able to utilize dead weapons. That obviously requires you to play a lot of weapons, which generic dragons generally can play quite a bit. They can play little or they can play a lot. It's really up to them because the fact that, again, they're not really tied down to any specific cards they need to play for their cards to go off. So you can kind of play that how you see fit. Infernal Armor Dragon is still one of the big VIPs. Will continue to still be one of the big VIPs. I don't think I need to talk about that card much. Anyone who's played it or played against it knows how much of a jerk he is. That's basically for the size 3's Bastard Sword Dragon as well. Very, very big guy in there. Great double attacking power for generic decks. It's great for the movability as well because generic decks also play very, very. The thing about generic decks is you can play pretty much anything you want, so your spell lineup can pretty much be anything you want. And being that they have Dragon World has a lot of spells that can work with their monsters, the addition to a double attacking moving size 3 is welcome to the generic strategy for the spell lineups.
You also have a couple more that do have Soul Guard and moving, and I think there was one in the gold pack, right?
Yeah, there's that's the big thing. Soul Guard and move in Dragon World is extremely potent.
Soul Guard, move, and in some cases penetrate.
Maybe more so. I really like. I mean, honestly, if you get double attack and move in Dragon World, it's gold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's absolute gold. Like even Diomedes, which I was, you guys know, I was just absolutely hyped for, and then actually got into playtesting it, and I realized its weaknesses and strengths. Everybody was more concerned about it not attacking left or right. I was more concerned about its and a lot more even more people were concerned about the fact that it required a soul. None of that really bugged me. I was really more concerned about the way I wanted to run it because I wanted to run it in my Super Dragons, and I found out in size 3s it doesn't work very well because all of my cards in my deck should be live at all times. That's how I built the deck. The reason why is because I don't have an advantage engine, so I need those cards to be utilized to their max every single time that I play them. So losing a card from hand, didn't really do me any good and didn't make me feel good, and I was always wasting a shield or a defensive spell in that. Not like General Boldness where it's an option. And then, obviously, if I put stuff in general boldness as soul, it's usually because I have a crap ton of size 3s, or I have size 3s, and I know I'm going to draw more size 3s. So that's just basically turning my size 3s into more shields versus Diomedes, which is taking shields away from me. So, but even with that card, I'm sorry.
How do you feel about Tenbu in the Super Armor Dragon generic?
Well, Tenbu is funny because I remember people saying when Tenbu first came out, well, this is an amazing card for every world other than Dragon World because we have Infernal Armor Dragon. Now,
well,
50% of me, the Buddy Fighter in me, is like, that's absolutely true, and yeah, I totally agree. And then the other half of me, the other, from playing all the other card games, I'm like, well, let's be objective here. What do they do differently? And Tenbu does actually stuff differently. Tenbu's stats kind of suck compared to Infernal Armor Dragons. I mean, Infernal Armor Dragon is definitely something better to have in the center. 6K really doesn't do much for you. Like, additionally, on the aggressive, if you have to beat into another monster, either that turn or later, it doesn't do much for you. However, Tembo being able to pop an entire board, there's a lot more rush decks happening. There's a lot more triple formations happening, especially with all these weapons that are attacking with centers and things like that going on. So Tembo is going to continue to shine in that respect. Inferno is actually, as long as you don't whiff, that's obviously a big downside to Inferno, but generally it shouldn't be an issue. But as long as you get both of his pops off, Inferno has more of a precision aspect to it, so he's better against Soul Guard decks, against decks that will protect their monsters with a spell, things like that. So, again, they both have their plus and minuses, but, Tembu is definitely, I proved myself wrong, and I proved everybody else wrong with just the, by playing it and realizing, like, it's great to have 4 Inferno, but it's even better to have like 8, or it's better to have, it's nice that Inferno does this, but it's also nice to be able to wipe an entire board of 3 monsters. Or, like there's, again, the Paratrooper combo in Super Armor Dragons, for instance, is just, again, Inferno with that combo is nice, but
that's what I was gonna say. I was doing that combination. I felt like I was doing that like a while back, at least here in DC. Like nobody ever, like people saw, oh, why am I gonna bring out a waste a card to bring out a monster? But I'm like, use that with Inferno. Use that when somebody tries to attack you in the center, or even nowadays, like they try to link attack, bring something, boom, put them in the center. If they can't hit it, and then the possibility of just destroying 2 things, and now Tembu just makes it even better.
Well, also that size 3s were always, in my book, always meant to be a 1-turn stall, where my field just kind of.
All right, guys, I lost connection from you guys.
My field almost got messed up, or it got messed up, and I needed to sit on a wall for a little bit and make them link attack, or just try to get over it and protect my center, because either I'm out of shields or I'm running low on options or hand advantage.
And to tell you the truth,
right?
I feel like Dragon World has the best grade 3s in the game. Like you can put them up with every other grade 3s in the game, and it has the best grade 3s in the game. And that's why everybody always complains that, oh, Dragon World, Inferno this or Tembu that, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. We just have the best grade 3s in the game.
The weirdest thing when someone says that is, we're Dragon World, and Ancient World is about grade size 3s. Why do we have better size 3s?
Because Gao's the main character.
Yeah, and when it comes to playing them in general, I never felt the need to include a size 3 in a Dragon World deck, because I sit on that triple formation, and my favorite keyword in this whole game for any card is move. When I have move, I don't think I need a size 3. But that's just me.
It's something like move and Soul Guard, like he was saying, is so big to this clan and everything, because you can do a lot with it. If you have Soul Guard, you can definitely run. Like I ran less shield in my drum deck. I run less shields. I run 6 shields. I don't even run 8. I run 6. I run 4 blue and 2 green. And because if I have more Soul Guard and I'm moving stuff to the center, I'm going to want to protect it and maybe counterattack. But that's just me. That's just my style, whatever I'm just playing with this time.
So I guess the ultimate on that is like ours again. Yeah, our size 3s are amazing. Not gonna lie.
Boom.
I mean, we could sit here all night and have an entire stream on our size 3s because going down the list. I mean, there's very few bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not that very. Look at that one that doesn't have soul guard, but it's 2 gauge. You're paying 2 gauge for. If you move it to one side, it gets an extra crit. If you move it to the other side, it gets penetrate. If you move it to the center, it gets defense. It's like that. Oh, if it had soul guard, it would be probably the best card in the game.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I played every size 3, Dragon World card there is, and this and that, and I know how they all. Like, I haven't really tested all of them fully. Like there's a bunch that they look really good, they look really amazing, and they look kind of like wow. But ultimately, when you're sitting down and testing things, and you're realizing there's no viable time to pull this out, it would be things like Grand Railgun Dragon, like just looks amazing. Oh, free call, pay 3 gauge, burn them for 3.
What?
There's way too many times to stop that.
What?
Way too many ways to stop it, bro.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But there
Like,
is.
I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be playable. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about, because I know there's going to be some people. There's going to be some people that are going to be like, oh, Grand Railgun Dragon. How could you not mention that as like one of the best ones? Well, I just don't feel like it's one of the best. I mean, it's definitely a lulzy card, but I feel like if you're talking about the ultimate long distance here, unless you're building the deck around Grand Railgun and those kind of effects, like I even screwed around with the new promo in the box, blasting Gatling gun dragon.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Because that I also thought about building an entire deck with like playing 4 paratroopers and just nutting with Tembu, Inferno, and him, and just be like, oh, if you're at 2 life, I just go paratrooper, drop this guy, and burn you for 2 for game. You're in the middle of your battle phase. Like, there's some cute stuff.
I have played a version with Railgun, that guy, and the one that you pay 2 and then you pay another 2, deal 2 damage. So it's basically just strictly burn damage.
Now
like
that
it's just
guy
a straight up burn deck.
I like that guy. The Gold Crush Dragon's interesting, but
so there's a lot of there's a lot of ways that you can go, because you can go burn if you want to go burn. You can go defense if you want to go defense, and you can go just high attack power. If you just want to go crits, you can go crits. It's like this. We're just designed to do whatever we want.
If you're Dragon Knights, you could do Diamond Do Turbo kind of thing. You can just power through your deck, just mill. Like there's a draw cards like.
Oh, Dragon Knights, yeah, they got man, that impact when I first saw it, it pissed me off, because I'm like, man, that's something I would say about Dragon World. It's like the draw power, it's like really not there, I would say.
It's not amazing, but
it's not amazing.
No, it's not.
You have to pay 2 gauge to if you're at 5, where everybody else seems like pay a gauge, draw 2 cards.
Yeah. Once they give that to Dragon World, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. They gave that to us.
Right there.
That's right up there with Spell Negate.
Yeah.
Oh, we're never getting
Pretty
that.
much.
Yeah. But I understand. Every other world has to have something. Every other world has to have something that they have.
We're not complaining, bro.
Not at all. Why would I ever?
Maybe I am because I just hate when my opponent's plus. So.
You know what? We're not complaining, but I have to say, like, honestly, if you look at Dragon World's history, like Dragon World just consistently and in a healthy way, top tournaments. Like, it really hasn't been an extreme thing, but
Let's
we
all
have like the
mention
best
how
support.
very first, at the time of this live stream, the very first set to not have Dragon World support at all is Shadow versus Hero, and that's the current set. We are a year and a half into this game.
Is it really? I thought there was one
Yes.
step before this.
Nope. Miracle Impact has 3 cards from Dragon World. 3 in the whole set.
Oh God.
That's the only reason it is not.
Okay.
4 if you count the secret flag.
Right. Okay. So anyway, back on topic though. So size 3s for generic dragons. I mean, that's basically what you're going to see in a lot of generics. Obviously, there's the others that we talked about. There are, there's a bunch of archetype ones, which I'll let the other guys, other than Master Sword Dragon, because I felt like that's really should be included in generics as well.
Stard.
But that will go into the Thunder Knight conversation, as well as all the Crimson size 3s if you want to get into that during that time. I can't really. I'm trying to think on the top of my head. I mean, obviously, this is probably the one time I can sit here and actually talk about General Boldness, which is great. I love the card, obviously, though, but General Boldness is really kind of restricted to a size 3 eccentric deck only. I wouldn't recommend. I mean, people have. I've seen one deck topped, I believe, in the last season, topped with playing General Boldness, but not really that many size 3s. So, I'm not saying you can't do it, but I wouldn't recommend playing Boldness outside of a size 3 deck. It's other size 3s. Obviously, we got Fatal Arms is interesting.
Oh, that bitch is annoying. Especially because of you, mister.
Single-handedly probably responsible for me winning, 3 or 4 of my rounds during the last event by winning games.
That's the card I was talking about. Yeah, you move to the left, move to the right, move to the center. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, just do it.
If you want to have penetrate. If you want a beast in your center to sit on, have that. If you want to have an extra crit, take it.
He has a big weakness, though. He has a big weakness to counter removal, because eventually he's going to be on the side, and then he gets popped. So, I mean, you have to be smart with it. Then, let's see, what else do we get? Well, I mentioned Diomedes. Now, Diomedes isn't all bad. That card, I feel, would be really, really good, though, in just a standard generic Armor Dragon, whatever strategy build deck you want, like, one that's playing your choice size 3 and some size 2, some size 1s, maybe size 0s. Because that's a deck where you're going to have a lot of different cards, and you can have a little bit more play with what you have. So, you can kind of ditch a deck card, like, you're dealing with a center monster, a center heavy defense deck. Well, this Venom Harp Dragon isn't going to do me any good, so might as well stick it in the soul of this guy, And so Diomedes, I feel like, could be probably a little better for that kind of a strategy. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it with the size 3s that I would really go into. Obviously, there's some other ones. Size 2s for generic stuff. I'll let you handle the drums, but obviously, the original Drum Bunker Dragon was great in the beginning.
Yeah.
it's becoming a little more lackluster now.
Do you want some?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think I have enough drums. I remember that thing was like $5 a piece.
Yeah, they're like $10, $15 a piece now. Go main character hype.
Kolik Mirage Dragon, like I said before, decent stats, has 4 crit, which was really important and cost a life, so it was great for Punisher decks and things that required a lot of gauge, and could give you early first turn rushes, for 8 to 10 damage. It was great. We have I tried Zweihander Dragon, and it's cute and everything like that. It's definitely an interesting card, but you have to play around. You have to play for that card. So
I feel like
it's not a bad tech card.
I feel like it's a good tech card, but it seeks to be original Demon Godel, and then it comes 1,000 to 3,000 points short of having a good chance at counterattack, because its defense stats suck and its attack stats is the exact same.
Yeah,
it's like a size 1.
Yeah, so it definitely. I mean, you can definitely do stuff with it, but but it's going to be a bit more challenging. Looking more competitively though, like I said, Kolik Mirage is a great card. I mean, size 2s. Wow, there's just so many things you could play.
Everything in Dragon World.
Honestly, I would probably say Drum is basically the star.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what can I throw in there? Oh, let's throw a drum in there. And now we got Omnilord drums. We got Omnilord drum coming out. We got Omnilord Awakened drum, and I think one of them's a size 3 actually.
Mister, don't cross your lines here. No, I'm kidding.
It's one of the size 3, right?
No, no, he's the size 2. He's well, we'll get into that when I talk.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I mean, he's kind of a generic card, though. So
he played as a generic card. His ability is basically plot armor for the anime, though.
Well, his ability is basically, I guess you could say that. It's
the
generic, Gal never plays his drum in center.
Translations haven't been finalized, but the idea of his ability is plot armor to counter Thundermine.
Clearly.
It's the only reason it's there. But otherwise, he's a little bit overpowered. He's a little bit better version of generic drum. That's all he is. He's got 1,000 more attack, and that's it.
But I'm just saying I would see probably more of those cards going into generic dragons in the future.
Oh, yes.
That's
definitely.
the future for generic dragons. Like, yes,
Yeah.
like for drums, like, maybe I'm stepping out of my bounds here, but I think it's basically just fodder for B drum. So, like, the fact that you're getting more Solgar monsters that actually do stuff in case you don't get your other drum. But, I mean, for generic armored dragons, I'm really excited because it gives us something like, oh, generic armored dragons play best with that whole triple formation Gal style combat. And these new drums are designed to basically say, oh, Gal would play this card. He never plays stuff in the center, so let's give it an effect on the side. And that's basically what they did. And so, but I feel like that fits right into the strategy because, generic armored dragons, definitely shine in the aggressive triple formation game. And that would definitely be a card, a card that I can basically save myself damage or burn my opponent or destroy cards. Like, come on, please, let me do this. So, drum definitely. I guess I'm kind of drawing a lapse here for size 2s, really, because the size 2s is basically you're going for stats or you're going for move. You're basically playing a lot of cards from the other archetypes. So,
well, yeah, I would say if anything is maybe like high attack, 3 crit monsters, or maybe high defense 3 crit monsters. That if you're just going generic or basic, or just.
I mean, obviously we got like Gold Crash Dragon, which looks really freaking fun. I mean, there's that card to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna hit you for 3. Are you gonna block it? No. Oh, you took that? Okay, well, I'm gonna drop 2 cards from my hand and burn you for another 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's 6 damage now. Like, oh, like same thing though with like Railgun Dragon. If it gets Chillax, Black Dragon Shield. Now everybody and their mother, and I've been watching some of the stuff and what people are talking about, and one of the trends you're going to see in this next format is you're going to see a lot of damage reduction cards. You're going to see things like White Dragon Shield. You're going to see things like Quiescence of Cassiar. You're going to see, again, I don't know all of the names of all the different ones, but, I know Katana has
the Dragon Shields. It doesn't work. Quiescence of Cassiar. What else? Chillax. Black Dragon Shield.
Let me not be a scrub. Let me actually look. Let me look at my information before I open my mouth.
Fair enough.
Okay, because I mean, it's not like I don't have the stuff right in front of me. So.
Right.
But yeah, continue, Jake. What you were saying.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of damage reduction because at least for, I don't know about cards that will be new from the 100 Demon set that's coming out, but out of all the old cards, damage reduction is going to be huge, because if you're playing the current meta, you've noticed Kaiser Ryan's kind of broken. You don't have a drag. If we're Dragon World, we're just talking about Dragon World, if you don't have a Dragon Shield, you lose. If you move to center, you'll probably still lose. So, damage reductions help a lot. Such as Gold Dragon Shield, White Flying Dragon Shield, and if you can cop a couple bucks out and find an old set of BTO2, White Dragon Shields are huge. Along with all the current clones that White Dragon Shield has, but those are for other worlds, and we're not here to talk about those.
I feel like I should mention Destroy Hammer Dragon.
Destroy Hammer Dragon works really well when you play Dragonic Destroy.
Yeah, when you play Dragonic Destroy, you deal 3 damage to your opponent, and it's not a bad monster. It's a size 2. It's 4K power, 6 defense. And when you play Dragonic Destroy, you get the added benefit not only destroying a card from Dragonic Destroy, but you get to burn for 3.
Right, but do you want to? How much is it to call?
It's free.
It's free.
Oh, then would you want to play double Dragonic Charge and burn for 6 and destroy 2 shade? Is that worth it? Because I don't see playing one Dragonic Destroy for that worth it.
Well, it's been quite potent according to a few players, and I've played it myself. I didn't really like honestly the way I felt was that Dragonic Destroy wasn't a card that I normally wouldn't want to play unless I was forced to. Okay.
She don't yell at Noboru for doing that.
Destroy Hammer Dragon is a size 2, which I usually reserve my heavy crits for. So for 3K power or 3 crits, my big pushers. So basically, what this came down to was that Dragonic Destroy by itself and Destroy Hammer Dragon by themselves are very subpar, in my opinion.
Yes, you need to have them together, or else it doesn't work.
The difference between that and Viking Sword and the Day of the Dragon combo was the fact that Day of the Dragon by itself was a solid card.
Yes.
And Viking Sword by itself, where it was kind of like the Destroy Hammer, where it didn't really do much by itself. It's still a 2-crit size 1, as long as it's not a size 1 critter. Then I would have a problem with it. But it's a size 2 critter, so I'm okay with this combo. And that combo would probably I would probably want to play that combo more than I would want to try to destroy something on their board with Dragonic Destroy. Again, I just say, but it is worth honorable mention because it is a very powerful combo. It is a legit strategy.
If that card had counter, then this probably would be something that would be a little bit more playable.
Oh yes, absolutely.
People would play if it had counter, but it doesn't have counter, so you have to put it out there, hope it doesn't get destroyed, then activate your card, then again, if you say with a lot of removal, then hope it doesn't get destroyed again. And then,
I'd rather just pay the extra life and the extra gauge for air raid and then reserve that slot for something else that could do some damage, like a Cold Crash Dragon or something. Let's see, looking through here. I should have pulled this up so I can actually, talk about
and
the
if you
things.
think about it, you can also, when you were talking earlier with the 4 crits, there is a build out there right now, and I'm gonna test it out, where you could do 10 damage to somebody in one turn. With 4 crit, 3 crit weapon, and a 3 crit monster. Now the 3 crit monsters that are size 1 are usually, like they get to or something like that. But
it's basically the derp deck I played. So.
Yeah. If you just put a whole bunch of 3 crits out there and stuff like that, and start. And if you're just starting out and stuff like that, I would say really pay attention to the stats. A lot of people just pay attention to the crits, and that's what a lot of people used to do back in the day. It's like they paid attention to the crits, but now with Soul Guard and Move and just big monsters in the center, you got to start paying attention to the stats and the defense and the offense, and especially. Before then they're like, oh, well, high crit, high attack, low defense. I don't care about defense. Well, now you're going to have to start caring about defense because they have counterattack and stuff like that. Because what people used to think were counterattack used to be like, okay, I counterattack, I kill your monster. Well, hold on. Is your attack higher than my defense? No. Well, my monster doesn't die. But it has counterattack. Because there's still some people out there that think that's how counterattack works.
Yeah, they keep going on and on and on. I know.
I've seen those people.
But it's okay. It's just they got to learn.
Yep. It's a learning experience for everyone.
Can I mention somebody? Look, if you're looking at the thing, he's right next to Destroy Hammer Dragon. What's his name there? Damarcus Armor Dragon?
Damascus Dragon?
Damascus Armor Dragon.
Now, back when this game first started, that dude was my MVP. Just throwing it out there.
Damascus Armor was the shit.
That's when that 6-6, man. People underestimated.
Oh, when people had a link attack for that in the center, and I'm like, Dragon?
Oh, God.
Put that 9 on the board. What you gonna do, punk?
But, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
We had a bunch of...
Wait, hold on a second. Oh no, he's a Dragon Knight. Sorry. Go ahead.
We had a bunch of cute evolution cards. I felt like again as of now, really the only top line one was the Drum evolution. However, Thousand Rapier is definitely very potent. The rising heat.
Rising Heat is only in Japan, and I don't think it's very good anyway. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, it is only in Japan. That's true. And I didn't think it was very good either. I thought we would have gotten this sooner. But, again, it wasn't, it was very, very underwhelming. Again, Thousand Rapier is really good. I haven't actually tested the 100 Demons systematic dagger.
Oh, I tested the whole systemic deck.
Orca. You have?
Yeah, Joey built a deck, and he sent me the file like 2 weeks ago. Anka gets really good. If you build the deck correctly, you can play Anka and then splash Astral Force on it. Oh my god, that thing sits in the center and destroys.
Sounds really wicked.
And then you play Anka with its Soul Guard, right? You play Systemic Black. Now you use Black to destroy a soul off Anka. And you're okay playing a 2-crit weapon. Or you can throw a 3-crit thing. Now you've got 3 crits double attacker, a 2-crit that has 6k power and 6 defense, and a 2 or 3 crit weapon. You've got damage output beyond max. It just gets so broken, and Anka is your main focus. But Systemic Dagger alone, the base form, is stinky. You never want to play a thing alone, ever. Don't. It's threatening. What about Ultra Sword Dragon, or what is it? It's something Sword Dragon. Extreme Swords Evolved Form. That's like the cutest one. Oh, you get Soul Guard. What else do you do? Nothing.
Nothing. yeah. I would definitely recommend staying away from those unless you are either A, having fun, or B, one of the wickedest players on the face of the planet. Like if you're going to try to take it competitively, because, like, again,
No.
Dragon World's simplicity is what makes it golden. And once you try to make it too complicated, other than maybe, say, Dragon Knight's loop plays, I feel like you're going to run into a lot of issues. And
there's one exception to that rule, Dex.
Make
a deck around all the evolutions that aren't drum.
Well, yes, that would be.
That's your one exception.
And pretty much I said that before.
Don't do that. I have tried. It does not work. I'm warning you.
So this Cutwit Dragon is this Cutwit Dragon that came out for 100 Demons is basically the same idea as Colic Mirage, except I'm paying a gauge instead of a life. So
yeah.
Again, generic armor dragons can pretty much do anything you want. They can gain life through Green Song, which is one of their VIP spells, or you can wind up going gauge heavy and gaining a lot of gauge and just using these guys instead. So it can go either way. So that's an interesting card of note as well. Again, there's not really a whole lot on our size 2 lineup that's just completely generic. A lot of our size 2 power comes from the
other archetypes that you splash into it.
Yeah, drums, Thunder Knights, Crimsons, things like that. Crimsons have started to take a feel of almost a generic feel in the fact that really they're only requiring a fist, and fists are such quick, I should say, and potent weapons that they basically become almost as good as the sword.
The thing is, and I'll explain it more when fists and drums and stuff come around, every Dragon World deck seemed to realize, crap, fists are just the best overall weapons. Who needs Drago Breach? Who needs Drago Fearless? I can play fucking fists. And now, because everything plays fists, everything can play Crimson Fist cards. So they become generic.
All right. So now we're moving on to size 1s. Now this is where things get interesting because our size 1s freaking rock. I have so many options. I could not even cover it all. So I'm going to do this really quickly. All right. So basically, we start off with 1000 Rapier, which was a generic clone. It's even to this day, if you need a little bit of power, he's always great. But we've gotten better options.
And there's about 6 other 1000 Rapier, base 1000 Rapier clones spread across the archetypes.
People are like, well, why were you still playing 1000 Rapiers when the 6Ks came out? Well, because it also had the 2 crit on it, which also makes it very versatile. So that's also very important.
Right.
Blade, we have a plethora of size 1 movers, things like Bladewing Dragon was out, and now we have a couple of others that have gotten a lot larger. Better stats, better effects, things like that. Also in other worlds as well, running fists if we do that, too. Thunder Knights as well. So we have a plethora of movers. We were suffering. I was having to play El Quixote for a while in generic dragons. Now we have Venom Harp Dragon, which is great. It does lack the 1 extra 1,000 points that the El Quixote does, but the interesting thing about Venom Harp Dragon is the fact that it has 3k defense, which just made it really lousy with Drago Energy.
In generic armor dragons, if it comes to building your gauge, you have plenty of options. There's in my actual build of drums, I can talk about those, but you have 3 main options of of Venom Harp, Twin Brutus, or you can also use some of your size zeros.
Well,
Which,
one of my first builds ever of Super Dragons before we got the size zeros released is, or as we were getting them released and I hadn't picked them up yet, was
Right.
basically running a size 1 gauge engine like that. So it ran 4 Brutus, 4
right.
4 Venom Harp Dragons. So yes, our size 1 gauge engine now is very, very potent.
But now you have. But now, I'm sorry if I'm splashing into the wrong territory. But
No,
I
that's
guess I'll
fine.
just go over them faster. If you have your size zeros, Dragon return system for all the money.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
Yeah.
it can be splashed into any Dragon World deck.
Absolutely. Draconic Return System. Great way to gain gauge because of the fact that Boomerang's just so good. Like,
And most
why,
of, at least
I
for
don't
Armored
really
Dragons,
know
why
how I
use size
quite
zeros.
feel about the necessity. I mean, Draconic Return System in Super Dragons felt natural because I was playing 8 zeros and they all go back to the deck or back to my hand.
Right.
In generic Armored Dragons, unless I'm playing a full playset, or at least I'm playing like quite a plethora of cards that are going to be returning to my hand and deck, I don't see a real need for Draconic Return System just because.
Well, there's a way to. I've been testing with it just for fun and messing around. There's a way to pack your deck with spells that if your
The land?
monsters aren't
Yes,
returning to the
absolutely.
hand,
We're going to get to that.
there's the skies in your hand. Splash that shit when your opponent's about to attack you.
Right, we got we're going to get into that. That's definitely going to get into it. I'm just saying in general, as far as like if you're just talking about the monster base of actually utilizing that way,
Right.
I don't see it as effective or as necessary because honestly, Dragon World's
Saves
gauge
your life.
engine is not a problem, especially for
Gauge
smaller
engine isn't
Dragon
a
Worlds.
problem, and it's not worth it to
Smaller
splash in
size,
more than 2 for saving your life reasons.
smaller size Dragon Worlds do not require as much gauge unless you're going Punisher and activating crazy spells, which is basically you should be able to generate that gauge in your normal course of gameplay between Blue Dragon Shields and being intelligent enough to run some other kind of Venom Harp or Twin Brutus or just some kind of other gauge adders. Anyway, so yes, we definitely have a decent amount of gauge additions to our size 1 lineup in generic dragons. We also have a couple of interesting guys like you have Psychic Knife Dragon. We had another one released, Whip Dragon. I don't remember the name. I did look at it and I did test it a little bit.
Chain Whip
What's the
Dragon?
promo?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
Chain
the
Whip
promo.
Dragon.
They're nice, but we have a lot of ways to destroy stuff. I don't feel like it's really necessary losing attack, especially because generic Armored Dragons definitely feel more like they, again, shine in the aggressive nature and the kind of the rush and the push because our size 1 lineup is so good. So, it didn't really feel like they were as necessary, but those are always there. If you want to do something like that, like you were talking about bouncing stuff, you can do some combos.
Right.
We said Twin Brutus allows us to destroy a monster, gain a gauge. That's always good. We have a lot of penetrators, and we were talking about the 4K Festival, as well as...
You have 2 main size 1 penetrators, which work in any Armored Dragons deck. You have All Pike and
which was my buddy for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
only difference...
we have more than that. Those are 2 critters. We also have the 1 critters.
No, Tuxor's 1.
We have
Tuxor has
Dragon,
more
which is
power
1 critter. We have Aukpile, which is 2 critter. And then we have the blue guy, the blue dragon.
Right.
At the very beginning. No. No, he came in the extra booster for Seeger. It's just been so long since I played him. I think he might even be 4. I'm trying to remember the name. Darn it. It's killing me. Because I remember when all these penetrators came out, and I was so excited. Because at that time, I was playing Weenie Rush. I was playing Weenie Dragons.
Weenie Dragons.
I'm sorry, we have Warhammer Dragon, Oxpile Dragon, and Tuxor Dragon, and we have another one. Little blue shark-looking thing.
Oh, I remember that.
So bad.
That's Dirge Drill. Dirge Drill Dragon.
Okay. Yeah, I felt so bad that I couldn't remember the name of that card.
Yeah, because it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. Like,
no, at the
one
time,
penetrator was nice, but it had 3,000 power.
Yeah, well, at the time, I was also running the Blue Song, but that was a long time ago.
Oh.
Anyway,
Song.
Blue Song with Immigrant Dragon. Hey, don't question me. It was fun.
No, Blue Song with Emigrant was broke. I had a friend who ran that.
We also have the welcome addition to a lot easier access, or access to easier sized 1/3 critters. Again, thanks to the other archetypes like Crimsons and I believe, let's see, we had another one. We had ones that cost us a gauge. We've definitely gotten a little bit better on that end. That is size 1s. Size 0s, obviously, that should be the quickest. We have Boomerang Dragon, which allows us constant attack, bounces back to hand, allows us to do the whole quadruple formation thing everybody knows about. Same thing with Missile Bunker, but Missile Bunker allows us a gauge, and then you lose the card, unfortunately. There is Tomahawk Dragon. I feel Tomahawk Dragon is definitely a very interesting card, just the fact the extra 2 crit. But you definitely have to build your deck accordingly to support the gauge for that. It definitely eats gauge like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
a lot of times you might even find yourself bringing it out once or twice and then charging it. And that's it for our generic size 0s.
Don't forget, Missile got penetrate and that 4,000 attack.
It's got 4,000 attack, it's got
penetrate is the big thing.
And if you're playing Return System, you get a gauge with its own ability, and then Return System will give you a second.
That's right.
Build up half your Gargantuan Punisher in 1 attack.
Yeah. So there's definitely, again, you have a lot of options. Maybe I wouldn't go that route because maybe I want to be a little bit more aggressive with the crits. But then again, you could also build your deck with a lot of 0s and a lot of 1s and a lot of 2s. Maybe cut out 3s entirely, or cut out, maybe have like a small size 2 lineup and do a size 1 lineup rush, or you can do a heavy size 2 lineup with a few 1s and a bunch of 0s. There's definitely a bunch of ways you can mix it, and if you use those cards like that, obviously you can build up gauge and play 4 Missile Bunker Dragons. All right, so moving on to the spells. I said Dragon Shields are the best. Some of the big cards here are going to be Drago Bond. Drago Bond works well with all of our movers. We have Drago Energy, which gives us a +3/+3, and we also have Drago Defense, which gives us a +4, but no additional on the attack, both giving counterattack. Again, we talked about generic armor dragons. I feel really good if they have at least 3K defense. Making something a 6 or a 7K with those cards is really decent and unexpected. Most people don't link attack a size 1 or a size 2 with 3K defense. Drago Genius, I'm not a big fan of, I guess, but it is definitely a great card, probably maybe in something like Thunder Knights, or decks that are going to be using their gauge for resources rather than trying to kill their opponent. Drago Defense or Drago Genius having that life break and the +2 or the 2 gauge on top of that, but it's definitely a powerful card worth mentioning. If you're looking for draw power, this is definitely one you want to go to. If you want to gain cards, not terrible in Dragon World either, because of the fact in generic dragons, because we have Green Song, so you can definitely do some great plays with that, paying 2 gauge, drawing cards, and then calling that stuff out to go back up to 6, 7 life points. So that's pretty decent. You have options to a bunch of these little kind of like Drago Speed and things like that allow you to do penetrate or gain a crit or attack with an open center or with a closed center, but I would probably stay away from those minuses, again, because generic armor dragons tend to be 1-for-1s, and you don't want to be losing advantage on that. And we have so many effects anyway that you really kind of unnecessary. Unless you're going to be doing some kind of like a combo derpy deck, then all for it. Well, just meaning that you're going to basically put all your eggs in one basket and punch your opponent in the face. If you're going to do that, those are great cards for that. Dragon Barrier is a great card. It allows you to get around Dragon World's way of playing with an open center. It's one of the few cards that works just with a closed center, but it nets you no other advantages other than protecting your monster. So you got to take it for what it is. That's definitely something interesting that you could do when you have like no soul as a wide-hander dragon, and they go to attack it, thinking that it doesn't really matter, that I'm going to get rid of it anyway, and you just turn around and counterattack. It's cute, especially on a link attack.
It's great for grade 3 decks.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing for size 3
Well, it always
decks.
affects size
Like,
2 higher.
this should probably be a 4 of in a size 3 deck. I know I did a lot of talking with oh gosh, I'm so tired. I did a lot of talking with John Muir. Sadly, he also couldn't do the stream. But I did a lot of talking with him when I was building my when I was like refining my decks and making a few last minute choices. Just need somebody to tell me that I was doing the right thing and reassure me. But one of the things we talked about was he didn't think that Dragon Barrier was necessarily a 4 of and Dragobond as well, being the better superior card. Honestly, Dragon Barrier does its thing, and it does something that Dragon Bond doesn't, and that's the fact that once you're already in the center, you can use it. So even in combination with Dragon Bond in the same turn is really, really powerful. So don't underestimate the barrier. It definitely, when you're expecting to get rid of a monster and you don't, it definitely can hurt. We definitely have a bunch of protection cards for that. So we have barrier, we have bond, we have some kind of jankier ones, which could work, but they tend to be a little bit more situational and a little bit more expensive. But if you're running a triple formation deck and you're worried about certain matchups, it's definitely a great side card. Would be things like Dragonic Force Field, paying 2 gauge and you protect your left and your right. So if your opponent's Asmodai happy, like Armanite Asmodai happy, or if they're if you're going like
Roadblader happy,
or Roadblader,
or Roadblader.
Roadblader comes down, okay, pay 2 gauge. Now you can do your whole. You called it the board. Now you're gonna have to pay 2 gauge to write it, and you still don't get to blow something up. Have fun with your 5/2/5. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's an interesting card that could catch people off guard. Dragonic Force Field is. Also there's also Dragonic Counter, which is definitely saw a lot of hype, and I definitely see why. This is definitely a very interesting card. There's generic dragons. I like the idea of an attrition and counter battle style that they have.
It's not as good as Night Counter.
Yeah, it's not Night Counter. It really isn't.
It's too good.
Night Counter too broke.
But this one does return. This one does return the monster back to your hand, and
so Dragonic Loop.
It works well with Thunder Knights because what you can do is you can move Archer center, and then you just bounce back and get the
exactly. And then you're popping stuff along with it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what makes this Dragonic Counter. It's like, oh, pay 2 gauge, return this back to my hand, and pop a size 2. I'm okay with this. Like, this is definitely a card, and then in combination with Dragonic Return System, if you really wanted to get all combo-y with it, like these are options. These are options that you can do besides Blue Dragon Shield. Do you understand what I mean now? Like these are cards that we don't play. Do you know why we don't play these cards? Because we don't have room. We don't have room to play this stuff. So literally, the sky is the limit when it comes to this stuff, and this is an example of something that you can do. Dragonic Counter with Dragonic Loops and things like that, and just create this whole screw with your opponent's mind of what the heck's happening with your board. Throw some paratroopers along with that. Who knows? Like you could do some really derpy stuff with it. Dragonic. We got Dragonic Thunder. We have Dragonic Shoot. We have Dragonic Breath. We have Dragonic Flame, which is not a counter card, which is why I won't really go into that. But it does destroy 5,000 less. I feel like it's basically not really ever really going to be used for anything.
Everything go kaboom.
Yeah, pretty much. We have Dragonic Survive, which is an interesting card, but it's very expensive. I didn't really play test it too much just because of the fact. I mean, I did side it at one point, and it's interesting, but paying 2 gauge and the way decks are now, I just don't feel like getting rid of one monster is really going to be worth it when you could just use Air Raid or something like that, which is a little bit more versatile. But that's always there to get rid of 6k or less defense monsters during the battle phase. We talked about Dragonic Air Raid, pay 3 gauge and a life, destroy a card on the field. It's a counter. Great against Kaiseron decks when they go to equip Kaiseron if you can get it off that quickly. Or if they don't go Kaiseron for some odd reason immediately. It's also great if you have other removal for the weapon and you can combo with this. But again, a lot of that requires a lot of setup and probably is going to be unlikely. But again, it's a great card to dealing with a lot of transforms and rides and things that don't have Soul Guard. Messes up people's battle phases like you wouldn't believe. Messes up combos like you wouldn't believe. Like
Yeah.
there's again a lot of uses for it. This is definitely probably something that you should have in some combination of in your main deck or your side if you have the gauge to support it. If you have the gauge to support it.
I
That's what
think
all gates
I
use.
think this card goes very well with also running with because I run a version of this deck basically is it just leaves your opponent like without cards at a point your opponent's gonna run out of cards. Like I had one opponent, he had one card left in hand because I would have this and then I would also have the fist and the I keep forgetting his name. The grade 2 that when you link attack you destroy a card. So you put this card.
Hammer.
Yeah, so you link attack, destroy their monsters, attack their monster, destroy their weapon. They bring out another weapon, attack with this, use air raid, and especially if you're running the fist, you're probably gonna gain a gauge. And if you're running the other monsters, they're not gonna cost you any gauge to run. So
No, they're
you can
really
just
not.
you can just keep doing these, and then it's not gonna cost you. Now, yeah, it sucks when they counter this card and then nullify it or something, because then you just pay 3 gauge and a life for nothing. But most of the time, they're not gonna do this because they're either saving it for a kill shot or something. So they're gonna
also
destroy the monster or whatever.
Also remember, if you're a little bit more preemptive and if you're paying attention to the game and what your opponent's doing and you can predict their move, you can wind up using this card and chain to one of their effects so they won't be able to stop it.
Exactly, like
that's basically what you want to try to aim for.
Or something like that, or yeah.
I would probably try to play this card a little bit more preemptively rather than reactively because of the fact that, like, again, you can't. If it does get stopped, it hurts a lot worse.
Yes,
if they just negate. If they negate like a random shoot or random thunder or a shield or something, it doesn't really cost you as much. It just sucks if they stopped it. But yeah. So again, great card. Definitely worth mentioning. Is going to be very, very usable in the upcoming meta. So I would definitely try to look around decks that can support this card as well. So we have a plethora of counter removal, a plethora of battle boosters like Wrath of Dragon, Drago Defense, Drago Energy. Again, not specific. Should we go into the different Dragon Shields? Why not? Blue Dragon Shield gives you a gauge. Great for again playing the gauge game. It's one of the best shields in the game. Blue Shield is definitely my favorite. It's just amazing. Green Shield allows you not only you gain a life, but also keep in mind that like the way that mechanic works of negating attack and then gaining a life is just so much more potent than just negating the attack. I mean, when you're going from you knock me down to 8, then you knock me down to 6, and then I go up to 7 instead of going down to 4. It's like like you have a 3 crit difference instead of a 2 crit difference. It's just amazing. You have White Dragon Shield, which is I don't know. How would you guys feel about White Dragon Shield? What's your opinion?
I know a certain member of TBI hates it so much that for his next birthday, I'm going to frame a copy of every White Dragon Shield, and you're all invited to my funeral when he chokes me to death.
That's okay.
Shield's good to stop burn damage. It's also pretty much a staple in the Gold Ritter deck. Pretty much it was just an extra shield because when Gold Ritter link attacks to do damage, just got reduced to 0.
Well, here's the thing.
That's definitely it.
You have cards that can't be nullified in general. Then you have cards that can't be nullified by Dragon Shields. And I have cards in my sideboard for any Dragon World deck I've ever built just since this card came out. Great King Sword Excalibur. That can't be nullified by specifically Dragon Shields. So what is my next step? I don't nullify, I reduce. Gold Dragon Shield, Flying Dragon Shield, White Dragon Shield, all say reduce and not nullify. If you throw those against Yami-Geto and Excalibur, you don't take burn damage and they can't be stopped.
Yeah, but I wonder how far I would really want to go with that, how much that would really bug me. You
play 2 of them, no matter what it is. Let's say you have an 8 shield count of blue and green, you take out 2 blue shields if gauge isn't the problem. And you most likely take out 2 blue shields, but if you're not running low on life and the games go long, then you take out 2 greens, or 1 of each. You never take out more than 2.
I just can't wait for the day I run Red Dragon Shield and burn somebody per game.
I actually did that.
Ghetto Demon Shield is better. Just play all dragons.
That must have felt amazing.
I actually went blue into red, which was even more amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had 1 gauge left. The guy goes attack. I go blue shield, gain the gauge. The guy goes attack, red shield. GG.
Yeah,
that was the weenie deck that I said that I built at 2:00 in the morning, and Jalen was looking at, and then I realized that we later on when I played it, we need ways to clear the center a lot more. But that was utilizing 12 dragon shields. 4 of them were red.
Weenie rush means weenies.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We got those shields which allow us to reduce. How often would you ever pull off Primeval, really?
Well, you mean to stop somebody or get off the draw effect?
No, to get off the draw effect.
Let's see. I use Primeval instead of blue in real life for a total of 4 weeks. 2 was before I could build the deck. 2 was after I got the deck. And I can mathematically do this on an average basis at a 20-on area per day, or every 3 days on area. I'd pull it off 5 times.
Yes, it's terrible.
I get it off 5 times in 3 days because I would be down to 1. I'd top deck into the Primeval Shield, have 1 monster on field that couldn't move. Well, throw your shit at me. What am I gonna do?
It's safe to
say. And then next turn, and 2 of those times, usually next turn, because of the draw, I'd pull the nuts.
Yeah, I'd say it's safe to say this card is probably a budget option.
The main reason I put it in there is because 1, I couldn't get blue shields at the time. I had no hope of those until I saw a certain Matthew at regionals and bought actual blue shields from him.
Yeah, that's right.
And then also, I could block Ozzy and still have a center.
Well, we wouldn't think something like possibly, flying Dragon Shield or Gold Dragon Shield would have been a better option.
Here's the thing.
You just want to pay the gauge?
I looked at all of the other. When I thought about it, I looked at all of the other Dragon Shields. 1, Primeval is a free cost. No other Dragon Shield that's good is. Every one of them at least costs a gauge. I'm not, and I was already relying on gauge so much. I'm not spending more.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So yeah, because the only other option is White Shield at that point.
White Shield
only reduces 2 damage.
Only reduces 2. What if the attack is more than 2 and I'm hanging on the edge?
No, I understand that. I understand that.
Right. Plus, I was no matter what deck I was playing, and I owned 3 at the time. I'm really afraid of Ozzy. I hate that thing. So what happens if nowadays when Ozzy players go stupid sword in this, and then Ozzy on my side? Well, fuck you. I have Primeval, and then you have to take out my center.
Okay.
Oh my bad. I misspoke.
Let's see here. We have. So now we have the other. Let's go into our set spells, because apparently set spells have become a thing in this game.
4,000 Festival and Dragon Return System win.
Yeah. 4,000 Festival, Dragon Return System. The only one other mentionables before that, we had 3 songs, but they, the red song was never really worth playing. The green song was, is just absolutely amazing, especially in a rush deck. It really is. It's ridiculous. And I can only imagine comboing it with 4,000 Festival as well.
Oh, yeah. You pay a gauge, get a life, and a thing from your drop zone with Penetrate.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. Blue Song is, it's still really good, guys. It's not a terrible card.
Blue Song is basically your Cavalry Academy. If you know things about Dragon Knights but aren't playing it, Blue Song's your Cavalry Academy, and it's definitely not a bad idea, especially for smaller decks, to be able to go against Kaiseron and Ritter and things like that. That we have to get, the extra 2 points really matters. Like, I have the cards to build an actual 4,000 deck, and I was thinking of dropping 2 Blue Songs in there, because you can boost monsters. but 4,000 works at their originally 4,000. So they'll still have penetrate, they'll still have all their abilities, and you can bring them back, but now they have 6k power.
Exactly. So I mean, it's definitely a card that's not going to be thrown in the shoebox anytime soon. It's definitely a card that can be used quite effectively. I would probably stay away from like things like Dragonic Repair Shield and Weapon
Repair Shield
Retrieval.
is too heavy, but Repair Weapon is free.
Yes, Repair Weapon is free, but I feel like
There's better cards for it.
I feel
Yeah,
like
just
you're just
play
playing
Gargantuan
enough
Blade.
weapons as it is. You know, every Dragon World player knows to play like 6, 7 weapons because we rely on our weapons because we play an open center formation.
Play
Right.
Gargantuan Blade, or you splash in, being that you're
You play
Dragon
that
World,
with a
your
drum.
weapons are most likely fists,
Okay.
so you splash in Scorching Drum.
Yeah, Scorching Drum could work too. So like I don't feel like there's a necessity for these cards. You know, Dragon Shields. It's like, yeah, you know, like you always want a Dragon Shield, but I don't know. I mean,
Is it
I
really
guess if
worth
you-
it to pay 2 gauge to get it back? Is it
well,
really
let's
worth it?
let's look at it this way, right? So basically, you're paying 2 gauge to get back a blue shield, LOL, or
You just got
getting,
one.
or you're getting a green shield. Like honestly, you know, that's the only reason I would say playing those. If you're playing 8 of those shields and no other dragon shields, and you want to see more shields during the game, like it's the only
Yeah.
reason I can see playing that card.
Not much.
You know, oh, I know we missed on draw cards. We had Dragonic Grimoire, which is always still
We have
really good.
Grimoire, Directive,
Directive.
Genius, and
Yeah,
plus
Here's a,
effects that have. There's cards in the world that are monsters, like that have the same effect as a Mortal Spear in Hero World. I just cannot, for the life of me, remember what the name is. There's a monster somewhere that if it kills something, you draw a card. And then Dragon Knight. I know there's Dragon Knights that do that.
That's a Dragon Knight that does that.
that's Dragon Knight Lincoln, but we'll get into that.
Well,
That'll
I think there's like one armor dragon, just nobody uses it.
No.
no.
If there
sure?
was
Alright.
an Armor Dragon, we would
Yeah,
all
there's
know
none.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'd
I
all
would
know
definitely
about
be. Yeah, I'd be definitely
Okay,
playing
good
that
point.
sucker.
Also, going back to the whole Grimoire thing,
Yeah.
I don't know. My friend John Muir, my friend John, he was playing you Grimoire and you play Directive. Then you either Directive into Grimoire or Grimoire into Directive long before anyone else was playing Directive. And I thought that digging 6 cards deep into your deck was a great play because you just got a lot of hand advantage back and you just dug more into your deck.
No, but here's the thing: you can't. It depends what order you're doing that in. You can't Grimoire into Directive.
You would
That's
have to draw
not
in
by the
Directive
rules of the
twice.
card. That's not possible. Grimoire draws you 3, and you draw until you have 3 with Directive.
It depends if you're at 4 or 5 life, yes, but a lot of times you're at 4 life and then you'd be like,
No, but I mean like not the
So
life.
he's saying
break
because if you
problem.
discard your hand and then draw 3 cards, and Directive says if you have 2 or less cards in hand, you
yeah,
draw
well,
until
a
you
lot
have
of the
3.
times.
So you
Well,
would
you
have
have to. The assumption is one of your cards is Directive. That means you have 2 to drop. So all you have to do is play. Okay, I see where he's coming from. So he burns through at least 4 cards in the deck.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do math there.
It's a good. All I'm saying is that it's a very viable combo in most decks and any Dragon World deck
Oh,
that
yeah.
we're gonna play.
Well, it would be particularly potent in the size 1 rush deck, just for the fact that you would be able
Well,
to pull the stuff from your hand.
Also, in
and
any Dragon deck in general, between Genius, kick out of here, I don't want it here. I'm not spending 2 gauge to draw cards when I have other things for free.
Well, no,
but
not necessarily,
between-
because you can pile up an amount of gauge, and you're drawing 2 cards rather than discarding cards or being limited.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
That's
The
true.
biggest drawback about Dragonic the Grimoire is that you have to discard cards, and then you'll have times that you have the impact in hand, and you have Grimoire, and you're just like, I don't want to get rid of this.
Right.
But if I can't get that attack in, he's gonna kill me next turn, so I gotta drop this and hope to draw a shield.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
basically.
That's if
I
you
guess
don't
it depends on your
impact.
build, but I would personally, no matter what Dragon deck I'm playing, I'd play one Grimoire or 2 Grimoire when there was no Directive, and then I play 1 Directive, 1 Grimoire, just 2 of it, never more. It depends. How much luck do you think you have? Like,
When John
I
Muir,
have
you
a
can't
friend-
get it every time.
I have a friend named Chris. He's
John
on
Muir?
Facebook, Chris Lazarati. And shout out to him if he's watching this, he pulls the worst things he could pull every time with Grimoire. I play Team Grimoire. Yes. I play Grimoire. I pull the nuts every time I play it. I have cleaned games just by charge and drawing into Grimoire. A single Grimoire. And then in Hero World now, I know it's a clone, but I have drawn into I have no cards in hand. I sat on Grimoire since game 1, the Grimoire clone since game 1, and I pull the exact 3 cards I need. And I sack him pretty much. Grimoire is just too good.
Dragonic Directive and Dragonic Grimoire, though, you would have to make room for both of the cards, and it was a combo on top of that.
But
it's an interesting idea, though.
I put it at one of them at 2, one of them at one of, or you play 2 in total.
You go 1 and 1, and then just.
Yeah, you
I really like Directive and things like Thunder Knights. Honestly, I think it's
right. Directive belongs in Thunder Knights. Grimoire belongs in generics.
Yeah.
They have their places. Is the point. I just hate Drago Genius.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it for your generic support. I mean, we have these bouncing cards too. We have Dragonic Loop, which is interesting. It's a free cost and it returns one of the monsters that are size 2 or less being attacked back to the hand. You gain a gauge. Then we also mentioned I mentioned the other one, Dragonic Counter, as well as Skies in Your Hand, which I remember I was playing that card way back in the day before people even were people didn't realize that. Yeah, they didn't realize how good the card was, and I was preaching about it for the longest time.
I remember trading a Dragon Knight Quixote because I was getting rid of the deck. A Quixote for a bunch of commons that I needed for my new deck, and 2 Skies in Your Hand was in it.
Yeah.
And they've sat in my collection for the past year and a quarter, and I pulled them out the other day. I'm like, I remember Gal used this in episode 1 of 100. This shit's good. I want them.
But it wasn't really sought after. As a good card, and people were stuck on the -1, and then all of a sudden, Drago Archer happened, and they're like, "Oh, we see how this." card is.
Everything.
We see how good this card is now.
Yeah, and now people have just.
I was using that card. Reason being because in the first Buddyfight regionals, I got penetrated really hard. I got double. I got double penetrated. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
so
I
started using.
How did you feel after that, sir?
I used to play. I used to not play weapons. I used to just play I used to play weapons, but mostly my monsters were in the center because I had drum and I had sign. And then I'm like, if I'm playing these cards in the center, how can I get use of maybe not getting penetrated? And just being able to they go ahead and link attack to penetrate you, and you're able to bring him back to your hand. Plus, you're getting the cards back into your hand, and then you can put them out. So, if you have a grade 1, grade 2, you can play that, bring them back into your hand, where if you were about to lose your card, and boom, essentially, now that Tembu's out there, he's a thing. So people are like, oh, you got 3 cards out there, 2 cards? Ooh, Tembu, I'm about to minus him 2. Nope, bring him back to your hand. So he doesn't get the satisfaction. For 1 gauge, you just bring back your monsters, and they don't get the satisfaction of destroying your monsters.
Have Paratrooper, Tembu, Skies, repeat.
Honestly, just doing that with Infernal Armored Dragon, I think, is a little bit more potent, honestly.
All
right. I mean, yeah, it was the same idea with Tembu, but I definitely was doing that with Inferno back in the day because of the 7K defense.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the possibility that you're able to destroy something.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that, you can bring it out, pop 2 things, attack. Now, with Tembu, they might be likely to be able to drop a 6K a monster easily and just beat into it, and then you can't stop their battle phase completely. With Inferno, at least they're having a link attack, and that actually stops their whole battle phase because they have nothing else left to attack with, or 1 other card to attack with, rather than 2, or none, or, such and such. But, all right. So, yeah. So that's that. So we got some stuff to balance back to hand. That's some interesting stuff we can look at and we'll probably be talking about later. Obviously, my favorite card, which is going to be mentioned with the other 2, would be Dragonic Paratrooper. This is a card that's going to be very, very useful. I would imagine.
Mention that too.
with the way the formats are, which is why I played it in my deck.
Mhm.
It's going to allow you to get around all this penetration. Same idea is like basically, oh, you're going to you're basically setting up cradle and all this other stuff like that. So I'm going to basically just leave my field there, let you run into a dragon shield, and then you're going to try to push me with these other monsters, and I don't have that many dragon shields, so I don't need it because I'm going to drop this thing in the center, you know, and blow stuff up. This is a card that allows you to really get around a lot of that aggression that the way the decks are intending to go. Formation is cute for the size 3 decks, allowing you to abuse things, the non-movers like Tembu, Infernal, Armor Dragon, Railgun Dragon, all those guys that you like to use. Formation is actually pretty cute, not going to lie. There was a build of that for Super Dragons. I like the move version better, but you know, the ones that don't move obviously are bigger monsters, have more effects, things like Gargantua Blade. And Formation works really, really nice with that, being able to call it on the side, full aggression, and then being able to slide it to the center for your opponent to have to deal with during their battle phase, especially after they call their field. Dragonic Thrust, pretty decent. It's like an ultimate buddy. The only problem with this card is it costs an additional gauge. That seems quite a bit for giving a monster Soul Guard and Penetrate. And I really can't think of a monster, size 2 or less monster, that would benefit from a Soul Guard and Penetrate that doesn't already have Soul Guard and Penetrate.
Right.
So that's basically how I feel about that card. If it could work on size 3s, it'd be broken, but it can't.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I don't really think there's much more here to mention in that lineup, and I want to keep it moving. So impacts, items. We have our swords and we have our fists. It's basically pick your poison. Okay.
All your damn fists.
If you want quick, basic aggression and the ability to work with some other Crimson Fists to mix in with your generic dragons for like penetrators or movers or destroyers or extra crits, whatever. You can go with fists. If you want more effects, they're a little more costly, but they have a lot better effects. You want to go with your swords. You guys, Drago Keeper. Drago Keeper is going to be your star against Thundermine.
Danger.
Why would you say danger?
Because the card suggests reducing penetrate.
By one.
Also,
By
one from a 7 crit weapon.
Thundermine effect.
Like Iblis is on average 7 crits, sir. You're funny.
There was a guy at Regionals, he had it at 13.
I'm just saying, for like 3 cards for it to gain penetrate, it has to have 3 cards. It's going to be at least 2 weapons in that soul.
Like one damage isn't gonna anything, but you're right with like Thundermine and stuff like that. Of course, you want to keep those. I would say, if anything, have them in your side deck. If you're not running them in your main.
No, they are good against penetration. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's against like
it definitely helps.
Yeah.
But it stops special strike. It stops Thundermine.
No, it stops Thundermine. It reduces Spectral Strike.
Does it Shadow Dive?
Unless you're hitting me for 2 special strike, it stops special strike.
Well, yes, but a lot of good ones are 2 Spectral Strike.
But I haven't gotten hit with a lot of special strike, honestly.
How about Shadow
Dive?
Dive?
It's not relevant anymore.
It does not stop Shadow Dive, sadly.
Does not stop Shadow Dive. Okay.
No, because that's considered an attack.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, there's only 2 other kinds of weapons for Dragon World. A giant motherfucking grieving gold dragon.
Yeah.
And a certain blue dragon that lets humans ride him anytime.
Cavalry dragon.
That Matt will have to talk about.
You have fists and swords. We're going into swords right now. So you got Drago Keeper allow you to do that kind of stuff. So it's great against ping damage, magic world burn, etc.
Let's go down the line, the list here. Drago Keeper, yes, that's a good card. It's 1 gauge, 6,000 attack, 1 crit, great, and it has a good effect.
Right.
Right.
Drago Brave, no.
No.
Drago Breach. Drago Breach.
I mean, Drago is okay.
Brave. I mean, Brave, absolutely not.
Yeah, Brave is Brave.
Card out of your hand, and you're paying a gauge. That's no.
Drago Breach. Drago Breach is still.
Drago Anthem.
Drago Breach still is still a great card. Like,
No,
It's okay.
Draco Breach, I would say yes, because you're paying a gauge. Anything that you have to drop a card out of your hand that's not
Yeah.
going to help you out, I would say no.
Unless you're playing Asgard, but that's minus. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
minus.
If you're paying a life and a gauge, like that's what I was using in my Thunder Knights way before other fists and stuff like that. I was using this 3 crit, 5,000 attack. It's great.
For some time, I was teching one copy of it in my Super Dragons as one of my tech copies, and like it was a 3 crit weapon at the time that we didn't have very many of, and it was the best one you could run. And it's 5k
Right.
power, which is great for layer power anyway.
So then we got
you have Drago Fearless. You have Drago Fearless for free, but why?
Then we got the Manga Sword Drago Seal.
Now that card is a very interesting card that we have here.
It's
very
pay a
interesting.
life, so it saves you on gauge.
Yes, it does. But it's obviously a redeeming feature is being able to hit key monsters that you really want to hit. So but in clearing centers, they can't stop that. Like basically, you can't nullify the attack. So it's definitely.
It's only if it's attacking alone, though. So you don't want to use a smoke for one. Basically.
Yes, if it's not a link attack. So basically, you can get stopped by counter. So it's not really going to help you too much in the Hero World matchup.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of one of those cards that's like, maybe, but
it's not. It's okay. It's not like
the one crit. If it had 2 crits, it would be really.
If
really
it had
good.
2 crits, yes, this card would be playable a lot. Yes, but if it only has 1 crit, so no, I would say that's you throw that
right.
Like, oh, but you can't be nullified, so you're doing damage. But you're doing 1 damage. So like you're really beating monsters with this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
You have Dragon Blade, Drago Wing, or should I say Blue Sky Knights, the sword?
let's just stop on all these special 3 crit weapons. They're not even worth it.
Special what?
With the exception of maybe Chrome Sword.
About a good one, Twin Dragon Blaze Drago Anthem.
Oh yeah, that's broken. That thing is broken from all hell.
Yeah, we discussed this and we were looking at Drago Eternal and Drago Black Smasher. Black Smasher will... Like, here's the thing. Drago Eternal will probably never be played. Screw this thing.
Where's Dragon Eternal again?
Super Dragon... Drago Eternal makes you discard your hand, okay? Done.
Oh, right.
I don't need to read anything else. No, I'm not discarding my hand. I'm not playing to have 0 cards in my hand so I can equip this for practically free. No, stop.
Unless if they come out with like something for Dragon World that you plus or something when you discard your cards out of your hand.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a Legend World weapon, okay, but
I feel like this card should have been in like Legend World, whatever the heck, with them. It should have been in that deck, not in this one.
The funny thing is the jackknife style sword, which is like, why would you equip this when you just could equip Ritter?
Yeah, seriously.
All right, Gargantuan Blade Black Smasher. This is not stuff that I would consider seriously, but they are, cards in generic. This card really is, I probably only see in like Dragon Knights.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you have the 3 critter, if you have a 7k weapon, as well as the fact that Dragon Knights are probably the only Dragon World deck that can handle the discard. Because it's only discard 2. And discard 2 is a lot, but Dragon Knights if you build your deck with a large draw engine, you could generate enough advantage, discard 2, no problem. And 7.
This is great. Like if you're going against like these ancient world like big monsters, you're just able to attack it with your weapon by itself. Where a lot of their decks is like, oh, counterattack, stop the attack, counterattack, kill something. Where now you have your weapon. But again, with that, it's like in a lot of these weapons that cost a lot of gauge now, and in your discarding that costs a lot of cost. Costs a lot to equip. Is you got to be worried for the when they destroy it, because a lot of decks are starting to run destroy your weapon, destroy your item, and then if you're paying that much for an item for 1 turn, you're gonna set yourself back.
The nice thing about this weapon is it does give you a +3 on equip, but again, like I said, you can only see this really played in Dragon Knights, and you guys have a better weapon.
Yeah.
We got plenty of weapons.
All right. We have Drum Sword, which is probably
Leave that for me, good sir.
If you play a lot of
Leave that
drums,
for me, good sir.
so I will. So we're not going to go into that because I feel like that's really only for drums. Like you really can't. I really wouldn't see playing this in generic.
No, you really shouldn't.
You don't want to pay. You don't want to pay an extra. You don't want to pay 2 life to equip a weapon that possibly you're gonna use, especially when it has the same stats as.
What I will say right now, and I'll reiterate again later, is the cost is too high because the second. Hold on, I'm hearing an echo.
Then you gotta turn off your sound, bro.
So it has its second ability, which works without drum and doesn't even need drum. But the pay 2 life is way too much for that. It's not worth it for getting 1 extra critical per turn.
Yeah. So in generic dragons again, you could.
In generic
you
dragons
obviously,
again,
if you run a bunch
you
of
have
drones,
Sunshine Impact that does the exact same thing.
Okay. Obviously, one of the probably the best weapons going into fists is going to be the skill fist trigger. It's still your pay 1 life, gain a gauge. It's really great. You have your Sunfist Impact. It's a 6k, 2k power. That's why people played it. It was a 6k
That's
power
drum
weapon.
and sword base.
All right, whoever's got their sound, turn it down. All right, what did you say now? Jake?
It's the same. It's the same stats as drum sword without an extra crit. So this is when you want to play. You want the stats of drum sword.
Yeah. But I mean, this card is really good. This card is really good because it's a 6k power weapon with 2 crit, 1 gauge.
Okay, we gotta figure out who's doing the sound thing.
I think it's Juan.
What am I doing?
You can't have the sound. You know, on the YouTube video page. Like, go to YouTube.
I haven't touched my computer the whole time. So
Exactly, that's what you did. You have to turn off the sound coming from the YouTube video, or else we all hear it coming out of your speakers.
The YouTube.
The video bleed, the sound bleed.
So then I can't hear you guys then? Or?
No,
you'll hear us, but
you won't hear it through YouTube. You'll hear us through Google Hangouts. They're not connected.
Sorry, guys, for technical difficulties.
All right.
You need to screen share, Mr. One.
Let's see here.
While he figures it out.
Donnell, does the Jeopardy song come in Google Effects?
No. It's not.
Alright, so what am I doing here now?
Okay,
All I
go to
got is,
YouTube. Go to YouTube. Shut up. Somewhere. No, hold on. I know where it's wrong. Go to Google, the Google icon. Go to Buddyfight chat if I'm correct. What? Matt, it's not you, is it?
No, I think what happened is...
It ain't me. Like I said, I haven't touched my computer the whole time.
I'm confused about.
I got buds.
I don't even. Why is even?
Is it you?
It's not.
Matt?
I'm not hearing anything wrong with the chat when I'm hearing you guys, so you guys sound fine to me.
Okay. Wait.
I don't know. I'm getting a big echo.
It's got. If you don't hear anything.
I hear you guys. I don't hear no echo, no nothing. You guys are fine here.
That's really weird.
Okay, we'll try to deal with it.
Yep.
All right. So, let's see here. Going back, the rest of the fists. All right. Actually, we skipped the sword here. We got Drago Anthem, which is amazing.
Hey, leave Anthem to me, okay?
No problem.
Yeah, leave Anthem to him.
We got Drago Blaze, Drago Burst, and Drago Soul, and Drago Square. Basically, guys, the difference between this is if you want 5k power, you want 2k power, you want 3 crit, 2 crit, you want to pay life, you want to pay gauge. It's basically pick and match. The only problem, I wish they would give us a 1 life, 3 crit weapon.
It depends if you're going for a Punisher type deck or whatever. Maybe you're gonna want to pay the life for the 5,000 2 crit and also the other fist. Now, if you're not playing that Gargantua, but you're trying to do high crit, maybe you'll go with the fist with the 3 crits, and then maybe you'll go with one that you pay a gauge or whatever. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. You're not trying to pay any life because you're trying to conserve your life, and you're trying to just pay the gauge, or you're trying to just finish the game off, but you don't really care too much about your life. Pay the life and get a weapon, but do not pay 2 gauge for 3 crits, 4,000 attack.
Yeah, seriously.
With the new format coming up and as aggressive as looking, like you may not want to be paying life too. That's always something to keep in mind.
When a freaking deck can do 8 to 10 damage in one turn, maybe paying 1 life to equip a weapon might not be the best, man. Yeah, might have just killed you right there.
As far as our impacts are concerned, guys, I mean, honestly,
Gargantua Punisher.
no,
Yeah.
Gigantic Crusher. So.
Hey, we don't play bad impact.
Well, here's the thing. Why don't we leave the impact section for a little later, since
Sure.
I do focus on a lot of different impacts.
All right, cool. So what we looked at right now, so rounding out the generic topic discussion. So if you don't want to go in archetype and you want to go generics, what are we looking at for the new format? Well, we got Brave Machines, we got superheroes, we got plenty of wall decks like Star Dragon World, Seeger decks, and Diablos decks that are popular. We're definitely going to have to figure out a way. Actually, that's too cute one. I can't talk about it on the screen. In order to do that, we're going to have to be able to push. We're going to have to remember to push centers. We're going to have to remember to keep enough destruction to deal with that, but we're going to also have to take more of a defensive tone with the deck because of the fact that Brave Machines, and again, the format's going to be so aggressive. It's kind of like you've got this kind of like pulled in different directions kind of thing going on.
I feel in the sense of like going more aggressive. Going more defensive. Yeah, but like I feel like you just got to do aggression with aggression. It's like the way the thing is like if you're gonna die by like turn 2, maybe turn 3. It's like you gotta basically put that pressure back on them because if we're going defensive, remember we were the initial like aggressing deck. Like we were super aggressive, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, Dragon was just so aggressive," and they got
people quit the game because of that format.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like 1 month into the game.
So we go ahead and we need to like find a way to be more aggressive and be able to kill them in 2 turns or in 3 turns, where. It's just hard because of the new. Getting used to the new weapons and stuff like that.
What you say makes sense because it's the same kind of thoughts I've been having over the last week or so. With people talking about Brave Machines and how to beat Brave Machines, and you can go after the Kaiser if you have a way to deal with it consistently. That's great. But honestly, the best way to deal with it is just a bunch of faith. Again, the deck only has 4 like legitimate nulls. You still have to, if you're link attacking right and you're doing things like, punching them in the face can be very, very good, very, very potent. That's why Danger World is having such a great matchup right now.
Yeah.
You're swinging with Fang Dragon Declaration was fun. I didn't play any when I was playing this, and just swinging it for like 7 to 8 great attacks. Repeatedly, double standing. You throw that at them, and with enough shields, we have 12 on Danger World right now. So, Gargoyle is circle. I saw that. I mean, you can basically go to toe with them, and same thing with Dragon World. They have a lot of shields. If you combine between single attacks and link attacking at the right time and a little bit of burn, you can overwhelm them. Still good with the sound?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
We were taking a moment of silence for the fallen monsters. Thank you for that moment of silence, everybody.
No problem. No problem.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I'm saying, we got to go more. I feel like we got to go more aggressive because when we were being more aggressive against other decks and they were being defensive, they're wasting their resources on our attacks and being of us being more aggressive. But now it feels like if we go back to being more defensive, then all we're doing is like, okay, we're attacking, then we're using stuff to hopefully pass through or protect ourselves. And then they're just like, well, you know what? Who cares? I'm just gonna boom, boom, throw out monsters here, double attack, crit, blah, 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 penetrate. We don't care.
Yeah. So basically, what you're not saying necessarily go rush, but to go more aggro.
Yeah, like
bigger,
still have
nasty.
like our 8 shields or whatever, but we have to be more aggressive. We have to basically hit them, and because how many turns does it take for them to set up their 3 and all that stuff, right?
Depending on whether you put them in life break range, 2 to 3 turns.
2 to 3 turns. So
I rarely see it done on the first turn.
Mainly we got to get them to that point where they have that break where it's like, okay, we can kill you here, or we can Gigantra or whatever here. And basically just do that, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe just find stuff to destroy their things, but
yeah, I think punishing them is that a ferret? Or is that your dog?
Is Bear. That's my dog, yo.
It's so far in the background. It was just looked very small. It came up over the couch out of nowhere.
Doggy dog, diggity dog.
Boy, Bear.
Hi, Bear.
Hi, Bear. So cute.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea as far as
Yes, Bear is a great idea.
Knocking them. Yeah, great. Knocking them down a bit, and then trying to finish them off with impacts is definitely probably going to still be the game plan. I mean, they have such an open center. So.
Yeah, because when you get them to 6, you're going to be taking. It's like you can save your shields for hopefully those big attacks, but like I was telling you before, just having it be at 3 crit, and then you have to sit there and decide, okay, am I gonna take this 3 crit right now, or use my shield now, or wait till later when they're at 4 crit double attack, and you're just like, that's 8 damage out of 1 weapon right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely timed on it. So I think. Maybe to gear, right now, generic armored dragons have been playing more of a 4 size 3, 4 to 8 size 2, and then a large size 1 lineup. I think it's going to be probably gearing more towards a very heavy size 2, 3, probably more of a size 3 lineup, maybe 6 to 8. Maybe that might be
because if you think about it, what if we're basically saying that the top of the top is that hero deck right now, right? Top of the top is that hero deck, right? So everything down below that we can deal with. We just have to deal with that. So if we're basing it off of that, it's what do we have to worry about? That 5,000 defense.
Yeah, 7,000.
Am I right? So we have to worry about that defense. Then we have to worry about the cards that come with that defense. We have to worry about the counter that's, 5,000?
Yeah. That's so
then
stupid.
We have to go from there.
5,000 defense. What the hell?
Exactly. So maybe you're looking at Wraith. Wraith, maybe being a card that you put out there when you attack, and they drop that, you just boom, Wraith for 6.
Yeah.
Where before it used to be Drago energy, but you
wouldn't be able to read really like that. You'd have to pop that weapon quite a few times because by turn 1 they're gonna have at least 1 soul in it as soon as they drop it. Then by the next.
I hear you, but it's what other stuff can we do with it? You know what I'm saying?
The raid really only becomes useful in that matchup if you go first and you have 3 gauge. that's really.
No. I'm not talking about air raid. I'm talking about Wraith. Like Drago Rave, like the one that gives you 6/6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The one that gives you 6/6. I'm talking about that one.
Wrath of Dragon, right?
Wrath. I call it Wraith for some reason. Wrath, yeah. So
Right,
Wrath
Wraith
of
of Dragon
Dragon.
is cool.
Right.
So you go 6/6. You know, and yes, you don't get the counterattack, but you're
not thinking
attacking
of
it.
penetration.
So you got to
You're not
use
thinking
it
of
for
penetration.
when they're attacking. And even when they're coming back and they're attacking you, if you have something in the center, when they're thinking they're about to get that penetrate for 6 or for 3 or 4, you can be like, okay, boom, I'm not taking this one, but I'm gonna take the next one, which could save you a turn.
Yeah. I'd rather take 4 than 8.
Exactly. Who doesn't want to? Who wants to take 8 to the freaking head from
Well,
one,
anyone who
from
plays
one
Snake,
weapon?
sometimes I don't mind.
Ugh.
But usually I finish the game right after that. But
You know, when you have a guy that can sit on just that one thing and basically just attack you with that one thing and basically kill, like I played a guy. He had no other monsters. All he had was this thing, and he kept putting he kept protecting it, and I just couldn't do anything. I'm sitting there. I'm like, Drum, what can we do? What can we do, Drum?
honestly, I
like
like.
Drum.
I think also Future Drum should become a staple in generics as well.
Oh yes, definitely. But I got you.
Like honestly, like especially the way it is now, they kind of need it. They really do. They need to be able to push those plays through.
Yeah, seriously. It's
And
just,
looks like a lot of our stuff's going to have to be like big nut shots. Like I feel like Brave Machines start to run out, as well as a lot of 100 units Brave Machines. A lot of these decks now seem to only have one solid nullifier, and they have one of the gimmick card that allows them like a pseudo nullifier. And you're going to find these guys running out of a lot of stuff, like not being able to have enough answers to stop constant link after link after link.
Yeah. Like I had a plan to beat this guy, right? And I'm sitting there I'm like, okay, I can get 7 damage on board next turn, so I'm gonna try to get him to 7 damage. So I got him to 7, and I'm like, all right, next turn, as long as he doesn't double attack me, I can possibly kill him. He had 1 card in hand. He draws, charge and draw, and then he had that 1 card that he paid 1 gauge, paid 1 gauge, 1 life, and then he got him to 6, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do anything. I have 1 blue shield, and I'm at 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Hero World's really the biggest problem right now for generics. I think it's really more the walling that kind of hurts them a little bit more.
Anything that can wall. Seeger!
Yeah, like that seems to be the biggest issue. So that's something we're also going to have to focus on. That's what's so hard about this format, because you're going to face a bazillion Hero World, but everything also becomes very wally. So it's very hard to figure out.
Well, that weapon there, it's a wall because it has some defense. It's not like you can just take some 1s, some 2s. If you're telling me that a 0 attack power and 3 or 5 or 6 crit can attack and hit you, then yes, but it can't do that because you have that 5,000 defense.
Yeah.
Now you got to start your attack powers with that defense in mind.
They are walling up, but I'm also not used to a deck that walls up also throwing 11 to 13 crit at me.
Well, yeah, but also I think if you have multiple attacks that you can definitely attack with, and get them to use, it's almost the same thing as like Seeger. If you get them to use all their resources early, then you can possibly win the game, because if you're throwing you're doing link attack and then they're like boom, drop nullified, so you just wasted a link. Well, not wasted. You were forced to link attack. Now you can't attack to your next turn. So now you're like, okay, if you can get an attack from this, an attack from this, an attack from this, and maybe another attack from this, get 4 attacks in 1 turn, then you're forcing them to use all their stuff, because if not, then they're gonna have to be like, okay, let me take this damage and not use all my resources, and that's when you can get them in range, or at least Dragon Wars can get them within range, because that's what we need. It's just to get them within range.
You're right. Very good. I think that's a great place to wrap that up for generics, because I want to move on to the other topics. I know we've covered a lot, so it should make your guys' job easier, and then we can kind of mesh this into a group discussion on overall. because I know there's a lot of crossing boundaries. Like, for instance, if we were to talk about Drago Anthem right now, dealing with this matchup, but that's another topic. So I'm going to pass it over to Juan Mango. We're going to start talking about some. You're doing Thunder Knights, right?
Thunder Knights, yeah.
Well, that is definitely my second favorite.
All right, guys, how you doing? It's your boy Juan Mango here, coming at you guys with this profile. Nah, yeah, right. So basically, Thunder Knights. Thunder Knights, we gotta use is move. Our big thing is that we gotta take advantages is using our move to protect ourselves, and at least maybe even do some plays with counterattacks, and even as return to the skies to your hand. So we really don't have a big grade 2 lineup, but recently we've gotten a plethora of grade 1s that are really, really good, especially now with the new format. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is Drumbucker Dragon, Thunder Knight Drumbucker Dragon. Pay 1 gauge. It has move, penetrate, and soul guard. 4,000 defense, not bad. 2 crits and 5,000 attack. That's really big, the 5,000 attack, because it can basically it can hit just about anything that's 5,000 and below. And just a big thing that it has penetrate and move. The soul guard, you have to grab a Thunder Knight from your hand and put it into the soul. I
would say you go minus at that point.
Well, you might, of course, you minus, but like I would say, it just depends on the situation and who you're facing. If you're facing it that doesn't have penetrate, then put it in the soul. You don't have to worry about it, and just protect that drum because they have something in the center, and you can just penetrate it and maybe save another turn. When your opponent's worried about drum and that penetrate, that's when you want to put another soul in there so you can take advantage of that. If your opponent's not worried about drum, then just let them be. You're paying 1 gauge to move and penetrate.
And the underlying thing with the Soul Guard is the fact that, like, remember, Soul Guard is not an activated ability; it doesn't trigger. So therefore, like, you can't get locked out of protecting your monsters. So your opponent can't easily, cleverly play around the fact that you can't chain a defensive card. Like, people underestimate that about Soul Guard sometimes. The fact that, like, having that soul in there keeps your, like, if your monster leaves the board, that defensive spell in your hand becomes dead. That Drago energy becomes dead. And now you're taking hits to the face. And if you would have had the Soul Guard on there to begin with, you would have been able to stop that first thing that you couldn't protect your guy, and then now you can't. You know what I mean?
Good point.
And even if you lose the soul, let's say they have something that's 7,000 attack, and you Drago energy, and it loses a Soul Guard, but it's gonna stay on the field and then counterattack and kill that.
Yeah, your Drago energy is not going to save it from an Infernal Armored Dragon or some kind of a Tembu or something like that.
Yeah. Then the next card that I have is Thunder Knight Halberd Dragon. Now this card is just pay 1 gauge. It was everybody saw it on the show. Everybody thought it was awesome or whatever. The big thing with this card is a 6/6. 6/6 and move. That's basically the biggest thing. You're paying 1 gauge for a 6/6 move. But with a lot of removal and a lot of things, this card has taken in my deck is moved back a little bit. I've knocked it down from, I used to run 4, then I knocked it down to 3. Now it's down really to 2, just because
Pillar of Fire.
And yeah, you got Pillar Fire and you got tons of stuff that can do it.
A lot of things can hit it these days. A lot of things can hit 6,000 defense.
Exactly, and just remove it right off the field. Then the second one you have, the third one you have is Sword Shield Dragon. Good thing, bad thing about this card is it has 3,000 attack. It does have 5,000 defense, and it does have 3 crit. It does need another Thunder Knight to use move, so
no one cares.
I know.
So let's talk about the big guns, though.
If you are building a Dragon Knight deck with that you're using your gauge very heavily, and you want a guy to tech in, this guy's really good. And again, especially with the new size ones that we have, this guy has become really good and really viable in the deck. And of course, the main man himself, Leader.
Fine.
Yo, baby.
So you pay 1 gauge, and he gives all Thunder Knights move and a crit, and he also gives himself move and a crit. So, you know, your size 1 archer that didn't have move before, now you can plop him in the center for him to get destroyed the next turn.
Or you can attack for 3 crit and draw a card.
Well, yeah, you can attack with 3 crit and draw a card. That's, of course, that's awesome. And it's now side. I know we're talking about Dragon, but it's really awesome when I'm able to do this guy, 2 of him in a 9 deck. When you're able to do 2 of him in a 9 deck, and you got 8 crits on board. Enough said with that, though. Then you have Battle Axe Dragon. Do not use this card. You're paying 2 gauge for 5, 4, 5. If you want something that has 4 crits, go ahead and use one of the other ones that you pay a gauge, and you call them out to the field, and it has 4 crits. This do not use. Just because it's a Thunder Knight, it doesn't even have move. It can't get move unless if some other Thunder Knight gives it move. Which,
It's bad.
it's bad. Just move away. All right.
Yeah.
So now
You
going
have the
into
size 1 that gives all the Thunder Knights move now, don't you?
what's
Don't
that?
you have the size? Don't you have the
Yeah,
size
there
1
is a
that gives
size
all
1
Thunder
that can give a move, but like you're paying
Why?
2 gauge though.
I got you. I'm only joshing you.
I got you. Now this card here, again, was really good. Which one? Pastoral Sword Dragon. It's a 6/1/4.
Paschal?
Yeah. So if
From
you
what I-
had
from what I
another
remember.
Thunder Knight on the field, he would be free to call. This is I actually used to use this card just because it's a 6,000 beater and it can get over things. So I used to use this to clear the center so then Fawn and everybody else can attack. But now we have another 6/6. Let me find them here real quick. Spike Dragon. So basically, Thunder Knight Spike Shoulder Dragon. He can't be called to the center, but he is a 6/2 2/2. So
Spit
way much
now.
better. He doesn't need an ability or anything. He doesn't cost any gauge. He basically
Spin now.
replaces Broadsword Dragon, because Broadsword Dragon, you couldn't call him to the center, but he was a 5/2/3. So he just basically takes his place of that dragon.
Yup.
Am I right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward. Like,
I would say
like,
that
You're
Spike
100%
Shoulder
right.
is a good spin now clone, but
Yeah.
it plays a lot. You see, when I find a clone of a common card, especially in Dragon World, I like to compare its place in its deck to the original. Thunder Knight Spike Shoulder compared to Spin Nail has a lot better of a place in Thunder Knights than Spin Nail does in Crimson Battlers.
yeah. Well, that's because they definitely feel like they're trying to do different things.
Right, because if you have Farn out, now you've got a giant beater with move.
And 3 crit.
And 3 crit, along with 6,000 power. Throw in Dragonic Dash, penetrate 3 crit with 6,000 power. If you want
I
to
wouldn't go that far.
So then moving on to the other ones, then you have Iron Fist Dragon. Basically, this card gets moved if you have another Thunder Knight. I wouldn't suggest running it. The stats are just too low. You have 2, 2, and 3. You know, maybe when the deck first came out, or if you're trying to build like a budget build, then yes, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah.
But
Then
Gal
you
played
have,
it in the show, so it has to be good.
What was that?
Gal played it in the show, so it has to be good.
Oh, totally.
Just kidding.
You know what I'm
So
happy
you have
you never
Main
played?
Dragon.
Main Gouge.
4/1/4. He gets moved when another Thunder Knight is on the field.
I found he's good for an extra push in 4,000 Festival.
Yes, in 4,000 Festival he's really good, and he's really good if you're maybe playing a lot of more Drago energies and defense.
Yeah, he's got even stats, but not enough crit.
Exactly, but you know, you throw him with Fawn, he gets 2. That's fine. But in a Thunder Knight deck, you want most of your grade 1s. You want them to have 2, so you can push 6 to maybe 9 to 8 damage per turn.
Yeah, broke.
Now let's get into some of the 2 new ones. I'll talk about Side Wing Dragon. Basically, this one is if you have another Thunder Knight, you can call him. He gives all Thunder Knights move. Again, maybe if you're running that Battle Axe guy, but I wouldn't really run him. He's a 3/2/2. And you have to have another Thunder Knight to call him. So if he's your only monster in your hand, you can't even call him to the field. So.
Yeah, I was wondering about that fact because I hadn't played Thunder Knights until since the new stuff came out, and I was always kind of wondering about him, like if he was really worth running. Like I'm just sitting here thinking, like, why would I ever want to run this? Like,
yeah, exactly.
All of my size 2s have move, and my size 1s will have move if I have a size 2 on the board. Which generally, what's my size 1 doing for me in the center anyway?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you have is.
Well, no, he could work. No,
What's that?
I take that back. He can't. No, that guy already gets move anyway. Never mind, I'm retarded. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now you have Silver Chain Dragon, which basically is Iron Chain.
That's nice.
That's a Thunder Knight.
It's very nice.
So if you have another Thunder Knight on the field, you basically get to pay 1 gauge and reduce the defense of reduce the defense of a card on the field for 3,000. So this could be an answer to a lot of those big butt decks that I like to call them, just because they got big butts and they cannot lie. So
Yo, those other butts can't deny.
Hold on. Wait.
So this is a great card just because you want to play maybe 3 to possibly even 4. I would say 3. 3 in your deck is fine.
That's a 2 critter.
It's a 1 crit. It's a 1 crit, but just being able to reduce the defense and being able to maybe attack with every single thing once instead of having to link attack is really good. 3,000 out of take away 3,000 from a 7,000. Now you can attack with 4,000 and higher. Take 3,000 from 6, you can attack with everybody on the board. You know what I'm saying? Pay 2 gauge, take 6,000 away from something.
So let me ask you this. You think that Thunder Knights are taking more of a direction of a control and balance game rather than an aggro or a crit game?
Yeah, they used to be aggro.
It used to be like a real mad crit.
It is still aggro. It is still aggro. As long as the leader is in the deck, it is still aggro. What I would say is this here gives the deck a little bit more viability in the sense of the big butt games. Because when I played the deck, I had to remove myself from playing the deck because I'd play decks with something in the center, and then I would have to link attack. They would counterattack, destroy Fong, destroy whoever I would be a link attacking with, and then I'm stuck. I can't do anything because I got this big monster, it has a lot of soul, or it's just something in the center, and I'm like, okay,
that's why I played 4 Inferno on the deck.
Right.
What was that?
When I played the deck, that's why I played 4 Inferno on the deck.
No. Yeah, you play Inferno, of course. Yeah,
okay.
But I'm just saying, if you don't see the Inferno and you have your setup, and then they bring a big monster out, then you're sitting there like, okay, I got a link attack to get this down. But now that you have him out there, you can have him with another grade 1. He gives the other grade 1 move.
So even more so, it helps you out with Kaiser on.
Yes.
Makes all your guys hit easier. Okay.
Yes.
That's not bad.
And I believe you can even go negative. So
you can.
So if you feel like, you know what, I got a whole crap ton of gauge, I'm just going to reduce the crap out of his defense.
Well, technically you don't go negative, but it figures out negative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if they use a counter spell to boost back up, they're -2 technically. They're only going to go up to +2. But technically their stats can never reach below 0.
Well, yeah. But
to clarify.
That's it. I think there's another grade 1 that's pay 1 gauge and it gets penetrate when there's another one. For that I would say if you're playing Fist, you might as well go with the Crimson guy that has Fist.
Yeah.
Then paying a gauge and having a Thunder Knight that has, and his stats aren't really that good. Now, the MVP of everybody's deck of grade 1s, Archer.
Yeah, bro. I thought you were gonna forget Archer. I'm like, how
did
you forget Archer?
We can't forget about my boy Archer.
Like the only good card in the deck.
Our boy Archer. He is the man. He's just the beast. Great play with Archer, and I'm pretty sure, Don, you've done this, is you call out a grade 1, call out an Archer, draw 2 cards,
Then use skies
attack.
that shit.
Your opponent goes. He attacks. You bring him, play skies to your hand, bring him back to your hand, then play him again, and draw another 3 cards.
Yeah, I posted that sucker on Facebook when somebody said skies was a negative. I said, how about now, baby? With
Yeah,
3
right.
Dragon on the board.
Exactly. Sky is not a negative, especially when you're about to lose your monsters and you bring them back to your hand. But
Now,
Archer
I'll one up what you want. Check this
What's
out.
up?
Go. You go 1-1 formation with Drago archers and a Drago and a weapon behind it, and then you go attack, skies, attack with weapon.
Yes.
That's what you
Nice.
Makeshift next generation Gal formation.
Nice.
We used to do that with Drago Knuckle because we would go attack with size 1, attack with Drago and Archer, attack with Drago Archer, skies, Drago Knuckle hits, gain engage, Punisher, and if they stop the Punisher player, or I couldn't finish them off with the Knuckle and all that stuff, then you just be like, all right, I'm a Dragon Shield, and then draw a shit ton of cards next turn.
Exactly.
That's too funny.
So now, some key spell cards that I want to talk about for this deck is basically what we're trying to do with this deck is protect our monsters. Really, it's like you have move and whatever. Yes, if you have another copy, you can have them to the center and get destroyed. But basically, if you have a Fong out there, or if you have whatever, you want to protect your size 2, because the thing about it is you don't have that many size 2s already to go. Usually, you're going with Drum, Leader, and Halberd. You're going with them 3, and then your size 1s are what's going to fill out the rest of the deck. So with move, you want to make sure you're using Dragobond. This is your main key. Like, this is like maybe a 4-up in the deck, because if you're able to use that, move to the center, and then your opponent has to attack it, they're going to give you 2 life, and then possibly maybe even bring them back to your hand after they attack and gave you 2 life. Why not, right?
Barrier.
Exactly. Barrier is the next one, because you're able to protect your grade 2s if they're in the side or if they're in the middle. So
yeah,
that's
you know all
another
about
great
that.
card.
Wait, just a quick
I like how the card gives you advice how to use it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What other
Try
card?
not to
did you give?
panic. Try not to
Did you
panic,
mention
people.
the size 1 with penetrate?
What was that?
Did you mention the size 1 with penetrate?
Yes, I did.
No,
I
you
said not
didn't.
to use it.
I was probably away from my keyboard for that.
Yeah, I said not to use it just because the stats aren't really that good, and you can use
It's just
other
pile
stuff.
bunker with move.
Yeah, you
That's all it
can
is.
use other stuff with penetrate. So yeah, you might as
you
well
don't
not
like-
even.
So you don't want to use Thunder Knight specific stuff.
What do you mean?
Like if you want a penetrator, that's a Crimson. That's a Thunder Knight. If you want a penetrator, that's a Thunder Knight. Like, because I mean, the idea of like
Drum
idea of
gets
being able to
penetrate.
double
Drum already has
penetrate.
penetrate. You're good.
Yeah, but the idea of the double penetrate sounds even wetter to me.
Or how about
Well,
triple
yeah,
penetrate with 3 size 1s?
you could use them for that, but the thing is, I just don't like his stats compared to like if that's the case, you can use.
What's his stats again?
I believe there's 4.
I like it.
You like it? 4? You like it?
4,000.
Well, yeah, because you link attack in the Star Dragon world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they
Got
don't
a
have
good
that
point.
thing that negates penetrate. Just saying.
No, I hear you. The only thing is if you don't have another Thunder Knight, you don't get the penetrate.
That is all.
No, you don't get the move. You get the
You
penetrate.
don't get the move. I thought you don't get the penetrate either.
Check. It's in size 1s.
Yeah, I'm looking.
No, Danielle's got it on the screen share.
All right, so what is it? Thunder Knight's what?
Try putting on the SR button. See the SR
Alright.
under the buddy picture?
Oh, yeah.
If you have another
Off
Thunder
the
Knight
red
on the
sword.
field, this gets penetrate. It doesn't get move. So it just
Oh.
gets penetrate.
Oh my god, get that card out of my face!
So it's 4/2/2. Now, for that same sense, for you paying 1 gauge, I could go
Drum.
pay 1 gauge and call out an Axe Pike Dragon, and it automatically gets penetrate. But I
Or you
understand
could just call it the
if you're
original
trying to
pile
use
bunker.
if you're trying to use excuse me, if you're
Yeah,
trying
but
to use
You could just call the original Pyre Bunker. It's the exact same card.
But if you're trying to use this, what is it? You mentioned it before. Is it this one? No.
What, me? With the Penetrate?
No, the one that you had to have. Oh, that was a size 2, right? You have to have a Thunder Knight to call it.
You have to.
No,
yeah, the
that
other
one.
guy, you have to have a
the wing
Thunder
one,
Knight to
the
call
bird
it.
thing.
Oh yeah, this one here. Slide Wing Dragon, right?
Yeah, you have to have a Thunder Knight to call it. I talked about him too.
So what I'm saying is that like, you know, if you wanted to do like maybe a size 1 heavier Thunder Knights, like you might want to play this over an Ox Pile just because so you can call this.
That is true. Now, if you're playing like maybe a size 1 heavy Thunder Knight, then yeah. But again, and then also you're gonna have to figure out room because I like the 6,000 attacker. I like him at maybe 3 to 4. Then you have Archer, which he's an automatic 4.
Yeah.
And then you have the one that
Well, because honestly, I'm feeling like this one. I'm feeling like Iron Fist is not necessary anymore.
No, he's not.
No, Iron Fist is gone. Iron Fist is
so
totally
is
gone. You don't play Iron Fist anymore, and you don't play the other guy anymore.
Main douche dragon, as we used to call him, because he used to be really annoying with Drago energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, him you don't play anymore, and the other one because you're going more of the attacking power. So
you have Silver Chain, you have Slide Wing, and you have Drago. I mean,
no,
6K.
not Slide Wing.
6K, the 6K Iron Chain
6K.
and Drago Archer is what you're going with.
Exactly. You can reduce their defense. You can draw a card, and you have a six beater.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Silver Chain is definitely worth main decking.
Yeah.
You know, Drago Archer is definitely a 4 of. Spike Shoulder Dragon is, you know, just awesome looking too.
Yeah.
It's like a 3 of maybe.
Yeah. So like, but I mean, you know, yeah. Okay, I see where you're getting at.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, again, if you're playing like Punisher, if you're playing other stuff that you're gonna use your gauge for, why spend a gauge on a size 1? Like I don't want to spend a gauge on any of my size 1s. I'm already spending a gauge.
I can understand that.
And then I'm also spending gauge on like destroying
your plays.
Yeah, like destroying their monsters or stuff like that. Like I run Thunders. I like to run Thunders just because there's a lot of annoying grade 1s in other people's decks that you want to get rid of.
Yeah, I didn't worry about that so much with size 3s, but yeah, I can imagine a size 1, 2 deck. Yeah.
When you run your Thunder Knights, do you have gauge issues?
What was that?
Do you run into gauge issues when you play Thunder Knights?
Depending on what build. It's
because you have Thunder Formation. You have not talked about that at all.
Because I was getting to it.
Let the man talk. He's talking his monsters first, bro.
We're getting to
I thought we were moving on. My bad. I thought he was already in spells when we brought him back.
Are we doing zeros?
It's okay. We're just having a discussion. It's totally fine. So we're at Drago Energy right now. So Drago Energy, great card. I would say if you have Soul Guard, it'd be even. If you're playing with something that has Soul Guard, it's even better because you're able to like attack. But
you like it over Drago defense?
I like Drago defense way better.
Okay, I do too.
I like Drago defense way better, just because it gives you the 4, and most of the time your opponent's attacking with 1 card compared to like, and it just depends on your matchup. If your opponent has a big monster with a lot of attack power, then you might want the Drago Energy. But if it's just a standard, like they got 5,000 attackers, 6,000 attackers, and low defense, then you want to go ahead and get Drago defense. The Skies to Your Hands. We already talked about how good this card is, so I'm not even gonna basically just pay 1 gauge.
It should be in a Thunder Knight deck. Honestly, it's too good. It's too good not to play Thunder Knights.
Exactly. Wrath of the Dragon. I like to play this card also, just in certain situations, not all of them.
I didn't mean to give the bad rap on that card when I did that card. I'm sorry. That card is actually really good by itself.
Just doesn't get counterattack.
Yeah, it doesn't get counterattack, but again, when you're being attacked with something really, really big and you don't want to lose your monster, it can just protect it. You know what I'm saying? It's 6/6. and being able to attack and then drop that for maybe like 8,000, 10,000, 12, 11.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
It makes sense to run it when you're trying to hit numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you have to minus to win games.
And especially when you know your opponent it plays Drago, like a version of their own Drago energy or whatever, and they're just sitting there like, oh, I'm about to Drago energy when you attack me, and you're like, oh, you know what, right with Dragon. Anyway, moving on. Thunder Formation. So Thunder Formation, I like to run it maybe at 2. I don't like to have a lot of them just because, you know, it's not like you can set 2 of them and get the effects. You know, you get it out there and you get engaged. And the deck is not like super gauge heavy unless you make it gauge heavy. You know what I'm saying? If you can live, I was running the deck without this card just because I was able to run the deck sufficiently with just 3 gauge. If I had 3 gauge, I was good. I didn't care about anything else because a lot of the cards, as you can see, they're free except for like Return to the Skies but look at 1, 2, 3, 4 cards that we talked about, 5 cards that we talked about that are just the spells to protect your monster, whatever, are free. So it's not like a thing where it's like, oh, I need all this gauge in the deck.
You feel that multiple formation set would not be beneficial.
Not in a sense, just because again you're trying to draw into something useful. So you know if you have 4 and you draw it, or you charge and then you draw and you're like, crap, what the fuck? I already got one of these. You might as well just be like, all right, look, if you get one, that's great. You put it out there, whatever. I don't really feel like you're ever gonna use it for its second ability. You're just using it for the gauge.
Well, second ability is like last ditch effort.
Second ability is rush for game.
Win. It's like you're not gonna win, and you need to like pull out a miracle out of your ass.
I don't know. I've used it. I mean, again, I haven't played it in quite a while, but I also played. I also played for the Thunder Formation because I felt it was one of the only decks that Gargantua Roaring Slash was just so good at.
Oh no, yes. If you're playing Roaring Slash with it again, it's also gonna depend on your build. It's also gonna
right. Okay.
How gauge heavy you want it to be on, and if you're playing Roaring Slash, then that's a very gauge heavy because you need 5 gauge for that. So of course you're gonna.
Don't laugh at that. I did it consistently, man.
No, what are you talking about? I played it too. I did it all the time too. Trust me, when I'm at my locals, Roaring Slash Gargantua Punisher.
That's why I got the SP, man.
Totally.
So sexy.
So,
I got the original Punisher.
But then I also ran one that I basically would do 9 crits. I could possibly do 9 crits in 1 turn, and then hopefully within the next or the next 2 turns I can kill you off. So there's different builds and different ways to build this deck. And now that you have the fist available, now you just need 3 gauge instead of the 5. But you need a fist, so
I'm so glad you said that because it's probably the one archetype that has the most amount of like ways you could build the deck. Like you could abuse size 3s, you could abuse destruction, you could abuse aggression, defense, control. Like you can just build a deck to do because of the fact that has a gauge engine. That means that it can do whatever the hell it wants.
Exactly. Yeah. You can build it where you have your opponent. You can use pay a gauge, Thunder, or pay 2 gauge to destroy something at 6,000 and less. You can use it the way you want to use it and just protect your monsters your way, or have the cards to protect your monster in this way. Just make sure you take the core of the decks and then just build it from there. You know what I'm saying?
This is a deck that even I think Railgun Dragon would be just freaking so derpy in. Just because this thing is free and I have all this excess gauge, so I can call this thing out, burn you for 3. Oh, you stopped it. It's fine because now I'm going to drop a whole field of 9 crits.
Lorenz.
The regionals that I got that Rail Dragon in was the one that I topped. The second one I topped in, I was using Rail Dragon, and I was like, it actually won me a game against Ritter. So,
Oh God.
like
That's great.
I wouldn't attack the guy, and I would just have my shield. He would attack my rail dragon. I would shield, and then I would sit there and start gauging and drawing. And I'm like, okay, I got another shield, and then I'll gauge and draw, and then I would pop him for another 3. So
I hate Ritter with a passion, so I always love those stories.
Yeah.
But yes,
Then do I get a story for you, Daniel?
No, that's good. We'll save it for later, though.
All right then.
So this deck basically, you know, then you have the grade 3 double attacker. You pay 2 gauge. It has move and it has double attack. You can't beat that. 7,000 attack and 6,000 defense. So you can.
You gotta mention my boy.
Use Drago Bond, Drago Energy. I mean Drago Bond. Yeah, you can use Drago Bond, Drago Energy. You can use all the Dragos on this card.
So my boy.
Yeah. I got wrecked by him. Yes, I did.
He's my favorite card in Dragon World.
So,
you can throw Inferno in there, and basically the weapon for the deck is Thunderblade, Drago Breaker. It gets a crit when you have a Thunder Knight out there, paying 2 gauge. It was great when you didn't see a lot of destruction cards, but nowadays there's so many destruction. I just, again, yes, you have a lot of gauge and whatever, but sometimes paying 2 gauge for a weapon is not, especially when you have cheaper weapons that can get can get the 3 crit. You know, like we were just talking, you can use Drago Breach. Yeah. I know what you're doing is paying 1 life extra. You know, you pay a life
use a fist and then play the fist impact.
Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
And you can play fist, pay a gauge, 3 crit right there. So
you can even throw an
that is all I can say about this deck, unless you guys have any questions or want to talk about any specific cards.
Yeah, I want you to build Thunder Knights playing Gigantic Crusher and Red Dragon Shield. I just want to see it.
Do it.
I am.
That would be, you know what? I was really thinking about that.
It's pretty cheap, man.
Red Dragon Shield, because I was thinking about, like, man, if I could just do 9 damage and then my opponent goes and I can pay 2 gauge to end this game, to end the game. Pay 2 gauge, nullify your attack, and while we're at it, take a damage die.
Juan, how are we doing in the comments? We have any questions?
I haven't seen anything since last time, but let me check again. No, let me refresh just in case. No.
I guess we're talking enough then. All right.
Everybody's just listening. Everybody just likes to hear our voices.
All right, so I mean, you guys got more questions? Because I could always ask more plenty of questions.
I got some. So when I made a Thunder Knight deck a while ago, I actually threw in. I didn't play Drago Energy because I saw too many +3/+3 coming at me. So I thought, let's play Wrath of Dragon at 4. So then, for a size 3, I liked, at the time, Purgatory Knight Death Sickle Dragon. That's your size 3 you didn't mention, Don. It's a 9/2/7 double attack, pay 2 gauge.
I was going to mention that.
Well,
I like
go
that
ahead, continue.
because it can be pillar fired, and Dungeon World was immensely popular at the time I made the deck. What do you think about it?
No, I think you're totally right with that, because at the time when I first built the deck, I didn't run him at all just because of Pillar of Fire. Everybody was running Pillar of Fire. Pillar of Fire was everywhere. So what I did was I ran 3 Infernos. Because I only had 3 at the time, I would have ran 4 if I had 4. But I ran 3 Infernos just because I bring him out, destroy stuff, and he can't be Pillar of Fire. So they would have to attack him just to get him out the way. But I agree with that card that you're talking about, because it's 9,000 attack, 2 crit, 7 defense, and has double attack. Yeah. And I was actually looking at it now because there's so many like big butt decks that you want to go ahead and be able to attack him twice in 1 turn. Now the thing is, he does have Soul Guard, because if you don't have a way to protect them, then he's not going to stay on the field very long. But for 2 gauge, that's not bad stats for 2 gauge.
Right. No.
What was that?
That was completely my fault. I did actually forget about poor Death Sickle, because he is a great card. However, I guess the reason for that is because I played him a lot in the early days, but now it's like if it doesn't have move,
He's my
and it doesn't have soul
If it
guard.
doesn't have move and it doesn't have soul
Doesn't have
guard,
soul
I
guard.
don't care.
It's
what
just
it is.
like, yeah, I just kind of don't care. But now he might serve a little bit more purpose. But just as Juan said, he is a little fragile in that case. The fact that he doesn't have soul guard, and then additionally, you know, it's great aggressively, but defensively it does. I mean, unless you're plopping it in the center and you play towards that, I just feel like there's better cards, or there's more not better cards, but there's more versatile cards that you can play in
Oh,
that
of course,
slot.
no doubt. It's just when I played him, I played Bond at 3 and no, Bond at 4 and Barrier at 3, so I had ways of keeping him on the field. Also, Wrath of Dragon.
No,
Yeah,
no.
but at the end of the day, though, if somebody just leaves it on the side,
I'd only leave it on the side when I'm trying to push for 6 damage with Knuckle and just end the game.
Right.
And that's it.
no, it makes sense. I'm just thinking about it like, you know, from match to match to match to match, and it's
Oh,
a nice it's a nice scenario, and that's why I was taking a second. It's a nice scenario, and it will work out in a lot of cases. But like, you know, I feel like throwing 4 crits at a person, if they're walling up one of those attacks, throwing 4 crits at a person a turn really isn't that big a deal anymore.
No, but he's talking about in the sense of, well, right, because he does have move.
And then so you throw 4 crits on, you know, you hit him for 4 crits, and now it's their turn.
Right.
And you have nothing in the center, so you have to rely solely on the dragon shields.
Right.
Like, dragon shields are great, but I'll tell you the weakness of them is that you can't rely solely on them. You can't just say, you can't pull your pants down and say, here's my butt, start whacking away at it and expect to survive
yes,
for too long.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have
I
to play with your opponent a little bit. You have to give them something to worry about, you know, which is why move in Dragon World was so potent, because we have dragon shields and we have counter spells. Like, we have a ways to fully abuse that move mechanic.
Exactly.
Well, that's when it first came out, and it was like the Thunder Knight deck. It was just amazing because everybody didn't know. People were like, "Damn, it has move, and you have all these cards protected and everything." So people were so like
frantic to decide
oh my
what do
God,
I do
how
with
can I
this.
beat this deck?
Yeah, like, honestly, I'm surprised Bastard Sword didn't see more play in the beginning, honestly. Like, I didn't see him seeing a lot of play until later on.
I would guess it's because he
Inferno
didn't
was
have
out
soul
from the
guard.
beginning.
Yeah, Inferno was taking that slot.
Inferno was out from the beginning, and Inferno was just way superior at the time. Because everybody didn't think of double attack. Everybody always thought about destroying stuff from the field.
Yeah.
And they realized, oh, this double attack is actually really freaking cute.
Yeah, and nowadays everybody's like, oh, double attack. Especially when Katana World got a 1 gauge, and Danger World, they got a 1 gauge double attack beastie ass monsters.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
pretty
sorry.
much.
Like, I don't think Bushy Roads should have done that, though. We shouldn't be getting Beastie Monster with double attack for 1 gauge.
Grade 2s, mind you, grade 2s.
Oh, that's dropping what card? Just Dragon's Breath. It's got 4,000 power. Just go pop, and it's gone.
Yeah. Good point.
Fair enough.
No, I hear you. Hey, trust me. I looked into all of that, but like, how about now, Danger World? What do we got for that guy, huh? He got Soul Guard, double attack. Oh, yeah, we don't got anything for that guy, huh?
No, we do. It's called penetration.
Just get the shield and move
What do
side.
you mean penetration? They put him on the side.
Yeah, the smart players put him on the side, then you just beat him in the face.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, yeah.
That's why, like in my drum deck, I play tons of cards.
Hey,
my drummer and my superheroes, I'll play tons of cards where if I smack in the face, I'll get a gauge. I don't care that it's on the side. I want gauge.
Armor. The thing that kills me is like when you take them to the brink and they have like 1 card left, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get you. Then they're like armor reuse, and they're like, what?
Yeah, that's why you don't go. I love it when people go after him on the side. It's just like, please do, yes. Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Let's continue on. Anybody else?
I have
What
no
is
further
the
questions.
circumference of Halberd's shield?
Ooh.
You asked if I had a question.
I don't know that. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to call Gowan and find that out, though.
Motherfucker. You know what? Somebody give me a card. I can ask him myself.
Hey, Juan, how about Dragonic Teamwork? Because I know it's a generic, but
Why?
I like it in what?
Nice one.
That's the one that gives Which one is that one? Is that the one that gives
That's the
power?
one made for Crimson Battlers. If you have three monsters on your field, everything gets 10,000 plus power.
And
Yeah,
then
that's good.
boomerangs
That's good in
become progressive.
4,000.
Yeah. Fists, Crimsons.
Or 4,000. Yeah, Crimsons or 4,000s. 4,000 festivals. I can see that in 4,000 festivals.
But
Definitely.
don't you want to give Drago Archer 10,000 additional points?
When you have 3 of them, then cast skies in your hand and try to
No, they have to be.
No, they have to be different. They have to be different.
But you could have Drago Archer out there and hitting the sides. You could have a penetrator out there hitting the center.
Now
And
here's
you
the
get
thing.
Pile Bunker.
I was thinking about just an all size one.
Yeah.
An all size one Thunder Dragon deck. I thought
Sounds
about
interesting.
that because there's so many now, and then there's so many with different abilities and stuff like that you could use that, and then you can use skies to the hand and just bring them right back when they're about to get destroyed or whatever, and then be able to plop them right back down.
All right, so let's move on to Matt now.
Your
Matt has
time
been
to
over there
shine,
very
my
patient.
brother.
All right, so Dragon
Hold
Knights.
on.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience playing Dragon Knights.
Well, I've been playing Dragon Knights since the very beginning. They're the only deck I've actually ever played. I've played them.
So have I.
They've been my main forever.
I played them since the beginning and then ditched them at around set 3. But I had some experience. I'm not a Dragon Knight virgin.
Well, you see, the man who trained me was Chris Nieves. So
Good point. You win.
a lot of the Dragon Knight stuff that I know, me and him,
So,
either he taught me or,
Sadly, Chris couldn't be here, but we got his Padawan
Protege.
apparently.
yeah, he
his
is my
protege.
mentor.
Okay.
So Dragon Knights pretty much evolved in their playing style from the beginning to now. In the very beginning, the Dragon Knights playstyle was a rush deck. Dragon Knights was always a push deck. You were playing 4 Nobunaga, 4 Iwamoto. You were always playing Kyotes because in the beginning, when we didn't have Hyperion, we had so much gauge issues.
Yeah, it was deathly like so much.
Yeah.
It was bad at a
It
point.
got
where it was just
so
like,
bad in one of my builds, and I started playing Dragonic Charge, and I refused to play Dragonic Charge clones.
I never had that card because I never went to trial decks. I played Buddy Help when I first started because I didn't have the money to buy like all the cards and whatnot.
Right.
Not Buddy Help, a Buddy Charge.
Right, Buddy Charge. I have one of those cards. It's funny.
But yeah, most of it was always just a rush deck. And if you could play the Impact where it's pay 4 gauge, have a weapon and 2 Dragon Eyes on the field, wipe their board clean and do a little damage.
Right.
That was back in the beginning.
I had so much trouble with that because I couldn't get Dragonites on board. They were all destroyed.
Well, that's another thing. Even in today's format, we have a problem with destruction. So I found that me and Chris kind of figured out a way to compensate for that. So
Right.
really, the way to compensate for destruction, because I guess I'll start with the meta. The meta today is Hero World, and I still think Dungeon World's up there, but also what was it? It was Hero World and what was the other one? Okay, so I'll start with Hero World. Hero World, because I can't think of the other one right now. Hero World is you're gonna want to stop Drum that just keeps restanding. You either got to stop his attack first, or you got to. You guys said Skies. Skies bounces your monsters back. There you go. You just stop Drum from getting 6 attacks and then wiping your board, and then Prominence Burst just going in there to kill.
Oh, I've had fun with that.
Yeah. That was it was annoying. Darkness Dragon? No. So that's what the meta ship kind of did, and then we put bonds, and you play bond now because you have a lot of movers you could go. I'll get into that a little more, but I guess I'll break it down by size because a lot of size 3s. We got a little bit of size 3s to talk about. There's Dragonite 2-tank Hummin, which was a promo card. It was pay 3 gauge. It was I think it was a 6/3/7 or a 5/3/7, and you could get any card back from your drop zone. It was an idea. I never really played it because I didn't think that having any card back from your drop zone was good, but It was never really versatile for every Dragonite build. There was someone did try to make an attempt at a size 3 build, so they would be playing Dragonite Spartacus. Just soaks up any size 1 or any size 1. Even soak up the set spell Cavalry Academy and put it into its soul.
I have a
Cavalry
friend
Academy
who
is a Dragonite.
has the size 3 Dragonites now.
Was that?
I know someone who plays size 3 Dragonites right now.
Yeah, the basic is you play Spartacus, you play Drago Defense, you play Drago. Night Energy, Drago Defense, things that keep it all.
Yeah, so many counter battle spells in that deck.
Yeah, there
Like,
is.
why was Drago Defense so generic? I don't know.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Just.
And then when it came out, Dragonite Napoleon. The struggle between when Napoleon came out was, do I play Napoleon or do I play Geronimo? I always tried to balance them, but I found that you either go on the Napoleon build or you go on the Geronimo build. Napoleon was good because it just says, hey, let's grab a size 2, make it a size 0, and put it on the field. So what you could do is if you run out of shields, get Richard out, drop an AK wall in the center, or even call Nobunaga to the right, swing for a freaking 6-8 crit and do a lot of damage. Problem was, once they stopped the size 0, that could be thundered now, you'd be defenseless and have only a size 3.
Yeah.
Dragonite Kamitsumiyo, I want it to be good, but it just never. It was too conditional for. If you only have 5 or less life, you can only call this card when you put 2 Dragonites from your field to the gauge, and then you just sat on it. It had 5,000 defense for a size 3. Now when Dragobond came out, Dragon's Barrier, what you could do is you could play Barrier. You would acknowledge the destruction, and then you get to draw 2 cards, and Kamitsumiyo stayed, and you keep doing that.
Yeah.
However, the most versatile size 3 I find out there is Dragonite Geronimo. Dragonite Geronimo has won many games and puts in a lot of work. The fact that he is 3 gauge it compensates because his starting stats are a 1-2-7. He's double attack and soul guard. Every Dragonite in the drop zone makes him 1,000 power bigger. I've gotten Geronimo up to like 20,000 at one point. Double attack and soul guard.
At one point, you just stopped counting.
Well, after I got to 15, I just said, do I win? They go, yep, I'm just going to scoop. Because they couldn't really do much. Actually, Dex, I played your friend Tony at Springfest, and me and him were going back and forth when he was dropping Diablos, and I was dropping Geronimos, and we just kept going for days. So Geronimo is definitely one of the best size 3s in the game, and definitely the best size 3 for Dragonites.
Word.
Yeah, I don't think that's really too debatable.
Yeah, no. Now for size 2 lineup, we have a lot of options. When Shinzagumis came out, I looked into it. I tried to do hybrid stuff. Really, the only one that you could even decide if you wanted to play in a hybrid was Condouts. Call cost, pay 1 gauge. It gives itself a crit.
Right.
So it's a size 1 with 3 crit. But it has stats a weak. I think it was either a 3-2-2 or a 2-2. It was a 2-2-3, but I think it was a 3-2-2. So he can be thundered, and you just waste a gauge. Now, Shinzagumis, I'll start with what little knowledge I have of them. They kind of relied on playing the 3 formation, playing skies, or even force return to, after you did Saoshi's triple thrust, where you would just rest and destroy things. And then you would clear the center for Anthem and just keep on going. But now, with the other stuff that's not Shinzagumis, you have a lot of options. Nowadays, you could play pretty much what me and Chris came to call Thunder Knights in disguise, where you abuse the move characteristic with Lennis, Kojiro, Hartman.
Right.
One of the other size one, I think it was Bate Masterson or something. It was a 1-2-3. If you would play him, he's just a 2 critter. You pretty much play Bond, and it works. I'll get more into Lennis and the Lincoln combo in a little bit. You can still play Richard. Richard, I still say, is a viable thing. But I really just found there was no room for him in the deck after the new stuff came out. Iwamoto has to be one of my favorite size 2s for Dragonites because it's just call Iwamoto. Either something's getting popped, or I'm attacking for 3 crit. He's very good. Another grade size 2, another grade size 2, Lincoln. Lincoln, we all know, the new sport, call cost, pay 1 gauge. When a Dragonite hits, go draw a card. So you could pretty much abuse this with Lennis, because what you do is you call Dragonite Lincoln, and you call Lennis to center. You attempt to enter your battle, you move Lennis, engages a card. Hit with your weapon, hit with the monster, draw a gauge. You're pretty much either baiting a shield out, or you're dealing damage and drawing cards. There's no negative when it comes to Lincoln. It's just, you can make draw power that deck if you really please to.
What about Great Hammurabi?
The Great Hammurabi?
Yeah, same idea as
Same idea as Kamitsu Mio, you know, drop from center, play barrier. He would recognize the destruction, so he would destroy a card. But the only thing was he was expensive. 3 gauge was a lot for a size 2.
Right.
What else is there? Anyway, how do you guys feel about Vlad Dracula?
Vlad Dracula was my favorite one.
I loved Vlad, but it was too expensive again. It didn't work. Literally, Chris and my friend Mike literally had to have a talk with me saying there's a difference between playing cards we like and playing cards that are effective.
Yeah.
I played 3 copies of Dracula.
Yeah, cool. I hope
it
it gets magical goodbye, and then you just sit there and cry.
Yeah, exactly.
That never happened to me, to tell you the truth.
Then they weren't playing it right, because when you versed for that, it was this Magic World just said no. 1 shield stopped, and they would start going after Vlad next turn. And especially with Dungeon World, Pillar of Fire only has 5,000 defense.
Death Grip.
Lol.
That's another good one. There's just no good. Now
It's 5K defense.
What's that?
Yeah, that 5K defense is really small for countering.
Yeah, for the call cost, yeah. Another good size 2 is Calamity and Jane. I attempted to make a control build around Calamity and Jane where it was just call, rest till you have no gauge. Again, either force return or skies, bounce it back, and then recall and start attacking with things. Effective, kind of boring. That's how I found it. It's a little boring, so I don't play it. And then we have Dragonite Alexander, the original Dragonite. His stats are good. He had 3 crit. He was good to play. And then when Twin King Horn Alexander came out, gave him a double attack if there were 2 or 3 or more Alexanders in the drop zone, which was really good because you could play the double attack, you could play a size 1, your weapon, and then even you could play a size 2, and you could do a lot of damage. Nobunaga is just self-explanatory. It's a 4 crit beat stick.
What about Rudell and Whitman?
Rudell and Whitman were great for if you're going straight Dragonite's burn, because you could throw Gunrail in, you could put in Red Dragon Shields, and you could just burn for days.
Yep.
When it comes to the draw power build or even just the current format, you could do a lot of different things. You could splash them in for a little extra damage, or you could put them in the sideboard. Personally, I side 2 Richards.
Talking to the computer. Don't worry about it.
I side 2 Rudells because, just for extra damage against Gold Ritter. Another size 2 that is good that I used to play was Dragonite Bakuden. Dragonite Bakuden loads the drop zone for Geronimo. It sets up your impact. Does a lot of useful things. It's a 5/2/5 wall that you just drop first turn. If you get them late game, you either play him and then from the drop, or you just charge him.
Teacher, questions, or are you not finished yet?
What do you got?
You're missing the whole Shinsengumis.
I never really experimented with the Shinsengumis. I never really liked them. I was always the traditional style Dragonite player who didn't touch Shinsengumis.
Tisk. It's like experimenting with somebody's sexual desires. You have to see the other side of the gender.
I did. I said, I said Saoshi was good, Kandao was good. There was one that said, hey, if something happens, you pay a gauge and add Wolf Amiibo, their +5/+5 counterattack back to your hand. I read the cards over. I was just never really attracted to them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one-track deck. I can understand.
It's a one-track deck because you sit there with a ton of weak monsters who do the same thing as your regular Dragonites. There's not as many options to choose, and you may have Wolf of Meteor for 5,000 and the access to Dragon to Night Energy at the same time, but there's just so much limitation that you can't do much with it.
Also, my favorite card of Dragonites, you could just night counter them for days. In a mirror match, bye-bye.
Night counter is broke.
We're going to get to that, so hold off on that for a second. Size 1s, there's a lot of size 1s. Of course, who I always like to play is Buddy, El Quixote. There's no reason not to play him. He gives you a gauge once you hit him. Especially with Lincoln. Oh, I'm just going to pay that same gauge out to draw a card.
If he's not your buddy, you need to play him somehow.
A lot of people I know like to play Lincoln and Lennis as their buddies. They're
But
doing but you know.
Don't you feel that now with your weapon, because you gain a gauge if you destroy or attack, or deal damage. So with your weapon, do you replace him with other size ones?
No, I play both.
I would say no too, because I've experimented with my friend's current Dragon Knight deck a lot. Because without both of those, without Lennis, those three alone can suffice for a lot of gauge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a triangle, like a Triforce in Zelda. If you don't have one of the three, you're missing out on a lot of gauge opportunities.
Very true.
They're your three main drives, so it's best to have all three.
Yeah. It's like you're playing a drum deck without playing regular old drum. You know, it's just It was there from the beginning. You got to use it. El Quixote he may be weak, but you're either stopping. Their opponent is either letting you hit them for damage and letting you gauge. They're either you're baiting a shield out again, or they're just gonna thunder it and they're gonna waste a gauge and a card out of their hand.
It's not as much of a loss to your plays as it used to be. Because early Dragon Knights, he was everything to your gauge.
Yeah, he was everything. Now you have other things to. So maybe you don't play El Quixote so as often. Maybe you play him once a game. Maybe you even don't even see him a game.
And maybe if you feel free flowing enough, you play 2 per deck.
That works. That could work. I keep him at 4 because he will always be a staple in 4. At one time, I had no gauge. I had 2 El Quixotes and a Hyperion on the field. I attacked with all of them, got 3 gauge. I had 1 card left in hand. That was Night Counter. Every card hit, I had enough to win the game that day. Night Counter just too strong. So going back to size 1s, I'm going to go over the new size 1 that we got, Dragonite Cromwell. I really do like him. He's a 4/2/2. He's a 4/2/2. At the end of your turn, if there's not another Dragonite on the field, you have to destroy him. But he has Penetrate. So he's really good. You link attack with Hyperion or link attack with Anthem and him. Hey, you hit for 2 Penetrate, Lincoln's effect triggers, and you draw a card.
Right.
Oh, I love Lincoln so much.
Lincoln's our team mascot for my team.
Lincoln is just very, very good.
I have a very big resemblance to Lincoln, so my wife always dogs me about it. So when I became a Buddyfight card, it was great. Yeah. Well, because I don't have Dragon Knights. I always wanted to play Dragon Knights because honestly, the deck is really me. It's my playstyle, but I just, getting the card.
You want to invest your whole life savings?
Really, Dragon Knights were my playstyle from the beginning. Noboru is like my guy. You know, I feel for him. I've always been there, not the best, but I've always been trying my hardest to get to the top.
Poor
Noboru.
Noboru, yeah.
Yeah, when I heard Hyperion was a thing, I was just like, thank you. I was just so happy. Going back to the size 1 lineup, we have Dragonite Juliton. It was one of the promo cards. It was a 3/2/2, and if you had a weapon with 7,000 power or more on the field, it gains an extra crit. It did a lot of work for balancing out the crit in the deck, because when we got Tomoe and we got other size 1s that were hitting for 1 crit, it did a little evening out to deal for more damage.
I feel like with Tomoe, there's just... Oh, the echo's back. I feel like with Tomoe, why does he need that condition that you don't have a Dragonite in your drop, so you can't call it? It's just 1.
No.
There's other cards that say you need 4 to do this, but having 1 doesn't seem like too big of a difference.
It's not that you can't call it. You can only call it 1. You can only call once Tomoe per turn. It's that the whole archetype of Dragonites, the idea of it is revolving on how many Dragonites are in your drop zone. Geronimo does it. Tomoe does it. Bokuden loads it for those guys. Tomoe is it's a 5/1 I think 513, 512. I don't. Let me just look
Right.
at it.
512.
512, yeah. And you just you drop. You have to charge. If I'm dropping a first turn, I'm charging a Dragonite in my
Right.
hand. So I know what it is. Or if I don't have a Dragonite, I hope that one of them in my 2-gauge originally is already a Dragonite. I drop Hyperion. Oh, hey, look, it's loaded. I can do it next. I can do it on my next turn.
Right.
Normally, I used to play at 3 because we had no draw power and we needed it besides Glorious Legacy. Now I can bump it down to 2 and still be safe. That extra draw came in handy because at locals last week I was versing a Purgatory Knight deck. Played Tomoe, threw a third size 1, and I said he was at 1 life. I'm like, he's 1 card in hand. I'm either going for it, win this turn, or I'm going to lose, and I topped because of that. That extra draw came in just clutch.
Right.
How do you feel about Dragonite Maximilian? Because I don't like him.
Maximilian was my bitch.
Maximilian was good for the whole hand. He's a hand fixer and to just gauge and draw.
See,
that.
it took a while for me to set him up when I had my Dragonite deck, but he was what Butters would call my bottom bitch. Maximilian, I loved him so much that I sold my SP Quixote buddy to buy 3 of them when I already had 1. I made Maximilian my buddy, and I recentered my deck on having Maximilian out. Have it sit there with AK, and bust it up with Night Energy.
Yeah. Maximilian was good back in the day when we needed hand fixes and gauge extra. Now, he's too weak to hit anything. He's a 1/1/1. He's just too weak. When I versed Thunder Knights in Albany, the only size 1 I could draw was Maximilian, and I said, the moment I get home, you're coming out of the deck because I lost to my friend Justin in the 3rd round and got eliminated. And I was like, nope, this ain't happening again.
Yeah.
What are the size 1s? There actually is a size 2 that I missed that I'm going to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Dragonite Montanari that at the beginning of your main phase, it just gauged 1. I liked it because it, again, extra gauge.
Yeah, extra gauge, extra good.
Yeah. But besides for that, those are the size 1s that I think are good. Also, that you have Lennis. Lennis doesn't gain the movability unless you have another Dragonite on the field. So, I always drop her center. So when I attempt to enter battle, I move her left and I gauge. But they can always respond to that when you call her. If you have another size 1 on the field, that you call Lennis, it opens up the counter timing for them to thunder if you have a size 1 or less on the field. So it's good. I play Lennis at 3 because Lennis is a card that if I played at 4, I feel like I deck out too much. And I've come close to decking out with my deck plenty of times because I just kept drawing and engaging.
Right.
All right, and then size 0s we have 2.
You have like 2 size 0s. Did Matt die?
What the heck happened to Matt?
I don't know. That's yeah.
If he froze like that, we lost him. He'll probably be right back in.
All right.
If his
Let's
thing
pray for him. No, I'm not like that. I'm not like that.
Sucks. Sorry, guys. So anyway, picking up, we have this 0 here.
We have a 0.
Yeah.
You're gonna finish him for us?
You got 2 0s to choose from.
You got 2 here. Do you want me to pick it up?
I really, honestly, don't have experience playing Dragonites, so I wouldn't be able to comment.
I'll pick it up. I think I can figure out from new stuff. I think I could wing this. Let's effing do it. Yo, where's my screen share button? Juan, lock your camera on me.
Okay.
All right, can you see me? I'm making sure I'm good here. Okay, ignore all of this for now. This is not for you people. So we got Dragonite Renmaru. He's really weak. He's got his good crits, so in your size 3 build, he's easy to strike. In my opinion, I would play it where I'll slap 2 of them on my sides because size 3, why not? What are size 1s and 2s to me? And I'll just strike for 2. If they die, they die. It's more things for my drop zone. But what I have a problem with is Dragonite Suleiman. He came in the perfect pack, and he can't attack, not call, attack if I don't have another Dragonite. So that means if he's there for any reason and I have nothing else, he's useless. And he's not in my center, he's useless. That's why I really don't like him. Unless you've got good ways to keep your main thing intact, then this guy is pretty much useless as far as I know. If Matt comes back, he can tell me wrong, but that's
what I like
think.
about Ranmaru?
Ranmaru, yeah.
The fact that I can use it in non-Dragonite decks.
Oh yeah, Ranmaru. Here's the thing.
It's currently the only 2 critter that doesn't bounce.
Because if you're going to Super Drags or some size 3 build for any kind of deck where you can use Dragon things, Ranmaru is a perfect splash. He's besides the actual Dragonite, he's just a generic size 0. You can throw him in anything.
I play him in my Super Dragons.
Right.
He's a 2 critter that doesn't cost me a gauge.
Let's say you're playing Super Dragon Iron, because I've experimented with that. That shit's crazy if you do it right. Yeah, you can throw in 4 out of 5 Dragon World size 0s. And that's just Dragon World. So you've got tons of size 0s to play with, but Ranmaru is a good addition. You can do a lot with him. So Matt was going on to 3s, or he went reverse in Monster, right?
That's spells.
Now we're on spells, right. Okay, so now this is a very long conversation. Correct me if I'm tracing over things we've already done. You've got your Cavalry Academy. Very good set spell.
Hey, Matt's back.
Oh, Matt's back. Hi, Matt. What do you think?
Is he?
Is he?
Matthew, if you can hear us.
Matt, if you can hear us, say something, and then I'll switch over to you. Otherwise, I think I'm going to pick it up. Is that cool? All right. Cavalry Academy is basically blue dragons. Blue dragons, except 1,000 of that goes to defense instead of 2,000 to attack.
Which is really good.
Oh yeah, it's balanced more so because blue dragon is made for weenie dragons. Cavalry Academy will boost everything, including your Geronimo.
Cavalry Academy, it's
back in the day, I focused on throwing out 4 Cavalry Academies and Geronimo. Now here was the idea: if you want to destroy my Cavalry Academies because you can't get over my Geronimo, okay, I'll just keep that 1,000 power because it's a Dragon Knight.
Yeah.
That's the key to playing Cavalry Academy with Geronimo. You've got your basic spells. I'm going to scroll down. I would say when it comes to Dragon Shields, you keep it 4 green, 4 blue, and 2 for reducing, whatever you want. But there's not really much you can do with Dragon Shields. You can't be too flashy with them.
Red Dragon Shield, sir.
What?
Red Dragon Shield.
Okay. Red Dragon Shield is going to be the joke of this stream, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's
going to happen. Now let's move on to a lot better Dragon Knight spells. If back in the day when Anthem was our only option, playing Slash Strike Drago Slasher was broke as fuck. I had 2 decks back then. I'd love to match against myself. I had Cerberus, Vanilla Cerberus, and Dragon Knights. I instantly got rid of 4 Soul Cerberus if I had Slash Strike Drago Slasher. Instantly. There was no question to it. You've got Victory Slash, which is play Rock, Paper, Scissors, the original Rock, Paper, Scissors here. And if you win, you basically get an extra attack with your weapon in the form of dealing damage to your opponent. So it's burn damage rather than tagging. Now, you've got Twin Attack Tactics, which is the rogue, I guess you could say, Dragon Knight set spell. If your opponent link attacks you, you deal a damage, or deal burn, for 1 gauge. But back then when the card came out, there wasn't too many things your opponent needed to link attack besides Geronimo. And nowadays, you have an entire size 3 and 0 build, so this is a lot more viable than it was. Oh, there's a Facebook message. Donnell, did you get the same
Yeah.
Facebook message?
Yes, it did.
What
I
did he
just told him
say?
to come back in.
What?
He says he's like, oh, there he is.
I'm back.
All right,
Thank
Matt.
God you're back.
Sorry.
Matt,
Oh God.
I was
A little scared like that.
sorry, we got a little scared. So we explained the
It's
size
not
zeros.
like one of these other Dragon Worlds where Dragon World decks where we all play them because they're easy to get. This is one of the ones we really need help on.
I kind of get it. Give me credit.
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay.
So, Matt, we left off on your favorite part: night counter and night energy.
All right. So back to night counter. Night counter puts in work. Night counter puts in work because of, like I was saying, demios. Demios size 1, size 2, size 0. Cleans your board up. And then I just laugh at you. Mostly how it goes. I mostly sided out against size 3 decks like Dex's deck when I played him in Springfest. I sided that out for a couple shoots and a couple thunders. But at the time, Gauge was a thing, and we didn't really have Lincoln and Lennis to do a lot of jobs. It also is effective against Thunder Knights. Thunder Knights because, they call Fawn, they call Archer. When Fawn attacks, you can blue shield it, gain the 3rd gauge, and then attack, and then night counter when Archer attacks. They're either going to bond Archer, and you get hit for 2 damage, or they're going to bond Fawn, you take no damage that turn. There's an interesting play that me and Chris came up with also. For Other Worlds, Dungeon World, if you guys probably saw Chris's game at White Plains in the
Right.
on the last round. He blue shielded to get the 3rd gauge, and then he night countered and cleaned up the entire board.
Right.
I love Blue Shield so much. It does so many things it should not do.
It really does, and blue shield is again a staple in the Dragon Knight in the Dragon World deck.
Any Dragon World deck.
Really. But going back to it, so that's why a lot of people at first didn't like night counter because they saw how expensive it was. I always liked it. Like, I just go night counter for days because we really didn't have a good Armor Dragons, Thunder Knights. They can get away with playing Dragonic Thunder, but we needed a Dragon Knight attribute card to load the drop zone for Geronimo and for other things while still cleaning up the board and acting as what I've come to call a pseudo nullifier.
Right.
Right.
So it put in a lot of work.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And that's
Okay.
That's the spell lineup that I think is good. Do you guys have anything you want to add for spells?
That wasn't covered in generic.
That's why.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
Skin smaller and smaller.
So moving on to the items. Dragon Knights.
Right.
Dragon Knights played 3 items in their time span. In the very beginning, you play in the very beginning. Anthem, Twin Dragon Blaze Drago Anthem was the main item to play.
Right, because Nobora played it.
Of course, also because it was a great weapon.
Yeah.
5,000 power, 1 critical.
But it has double attack.
Yeah, with double attack. Anthem cleaned the board. They wanted to drop drum in center, you just take it away. They want to drop anything in center, really.
But you're missing if you ever want to build a Dragon Knight or any Dragon deck, because that's over time become more splashable in a Dragon deck.
Yeah.
There's one repercussion to playing Dragon with them. You can only smack the center twice.
Yeah. The only thing is it's got tunnel vision. It can only hit the center, but really, if it hit the sides, it'd be a little too much.
Yeah, it'd be broken.
That's why you have the Ride that could do the exact same thing in Hero World.
It would be broken.
Yeah.
So, Anthem was played in that, and then at the beginning you also played Knuckle. Because, again, Dragon Knight decks always had gauge problems.
Yeah.
Until BTO5, Cavalry Dragon Hyperion. Really was mad that it wasn't a Dragon Knight when it was released. I was like, no. It even says you cannot call non-Dragon Knights. I was like, you're kidding me, Bushy.
But it's a dragon.
Anyway, Cavalry Dragon Hyperion. It's a 7/2. Whenever it hits a monster or deals damage, you gain a gauge. So there's no repercussions to playing it. It's 2 gauge just like Anthem, but instead of losing 2 gauge, you can replenish it and it can hit bigger things. It hits Seeger on its own. You don't have to link attack to hit Seeger anymore. A lot of people still like.
It's first form.
What's up?
First form Seeger.
Yeah, first form Seeger. A lot of people still like Anthem. You could do a little 3-3. I play 4-2. I always like to have at least 6 weapons because I need to draw a weapon for me to be productive.
Right.
there's really not much else. It combos well with Lincoln because you're paying a call cost of 1, play Lincoln, Hyperion hits, it gets it back. And then Lincoln,
Right.
Lennis and Lincoln are really the format of this going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much else to it besides that.
Lincoln
is too good.
Lincoln is president.
He shall unite all Dragonites.
He is going
Under one flag, be they white dragons or black dragons. Or red dragons, or blue dragons, or green dragons, or gold dragons, or black... No, I said that already. Or purple dragons, if those exist.
All dragons shall draw equally.
Four score and more than 20 years ago.
It's good. It's good. Moving on to the impacts. We have 2 impacts. We have one that I already kind of touched upon. Dragonites Cavalry Arts Ultimate Smash. Ultimate Smash. You pay 4 gauge. You can only play it when you have a weapon equipped and you have 2 Dragonites on the field, and you deal. What it does is it cleans the board and it deals damage. This is a one from very beginning, back from CPO1, that really wasn't versatile or couldn't really be used to the most effectiveness that we wanted it to be because we had lack of gauge and gauge issues.
Mm-hmm.
When Hyperion came out, I was determined to find a build to make it work. However, it still didn't put in the work. It's good in a sense that it cleans up and deals damage. It takes down Seeger, no problem, as we saw in the show. It's just there are better things to spend the gauge on.
There's better things to spend the gauge on, and the problem is the entire idea of an impact in this game is it helps you, it moves the game further, or it's a Deus Ex Machina card.
Very true.
Ultimate Smash it has to be a Deus Ex Machina card because you may deal 3 damage, but if it doesn't end the game when it does that, your opponent's gonna just come right at you.
Yeah, because pretty much most of the Dragon World impacts end the game. We're playing Punisher, we're playing Rolling Slash Punisher.
Right.
They're meant to deal damage and end the game a lot of the times. And then the other impact is Glorious Legacy. Glorious Legacy is just fun. You have to have, originally I thought it was going to be 6, but they apparently made it 5. Dragonites are less in the drop, or more in the drop zone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have, they don't have to, I think it has to be different. Oh, no, it doesn't have to be different. I forget. Yeah. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be different. It's just 5 Dragonites in drop zone. Pay 2 gauge, draw 3 cards. It started the draw engine of the deck. In one turn, you could possibly draw 8 to 9 cards.
Right.
If you go Grimoire. If you're going Lennis and Lincoln, you could draw 5 cards in one turn. And what are the possibility of a Blue Shield sneaking into that one?
Yeah. Blue Shield's huge gauge excel for Dragonites since the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. So now, how that's going to affect it is that pretty much the meta is Hero World and Star Dragon World right now. Star Dragon World, pretty much we want to stop Penetrate. Because Star Guardian Jackknife, most of the time they're either going to give him Penetrate or they're going to make him an 8K Wall. So we're going to want to stop Jack. We can't take him out because he got Soul Guard anyway. And from a lot of people in White Plains, they were playing Star Dragon World. So in order to fight... What's up?
I don't know about that. There weren't too many people playing Star Dragon World.
I mean, there were enough to... there were enough of a skill level there to make an impression on the meta.
Good point.
Yeah, there wasn't that many players, but there was definitely a lot of
the skill level of those few players.
Yeah, more skilled players were playing that deck. Therefore, in the later rounds, there were quite a few in the top tables.
Okay,
especially one of them who beat my friend John. He had 5 Buddy Rare Jackknives, and I just said,
lucky son of a bitch.
Respect. That was it.
Lucky son of a bitch.
He is, but
yeah, Matt was like, "I'm taking him to the top 8. Let's go, baby."
Yeah, I was. I came a little close. Anyway, back to the
sorry,
point.
man.
It's all good. Hey, we'll get him. I'll get him next time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get off for work so I can come to Jersey and play in the tournament on the 12th.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
That's what I want to do.
I just
Joey and I are trying to work out something about that.
Oh, it's gonna be great. But going back to what I was saying, most times they give him Dragon Arms Cavalier, which gives him penetrate. So to stop penetrate from happening, because Jack Knight has 3 crit and Bond only gives you 2. The best option I thought was to be, let's play Skies. Let's play it at 4 and see what happens.
Yeah.
Play Skies at 4 and just see what happens. That's what I did with my deck after White Plains. It works because what you do, move Lena center, gain a gauge, pay that same gauge out, Skies. You got your resources back.
Right.
Also, it works well with Kojiro. Let's say they have Demios. Because I say Demios a lot because Justin Yi won with Demios, guys. We're gonna see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say I bond Kojiro, move him center. Kojiro is a 6/2/3. I don't think I explained this before. 6/2/3. It's a 100 demon.
Oh yeah, the Soul Guard move promo.
So good.
It's better than Hartman. It's better than a lot of It's one of the greatest size 2s Dragon Knights have ever seen. So, let's say they want to attack Kojiro. Okay, bond. Attack Kojiro again. Okay, Soul Guard. Attack it again. Skies. 3 attacks just got wasted on 1 card.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Kojiro just...
And that's
puts in work.
And so much about playing cards, like that's enough to just, like, it's enough to defeat your opponent just by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mentally, you defeat them.
Yes.
And your match is so much easier.
Yeah, because at 1 turn they had to waste their 3 attacks, or if not, their 3 out of 6 attacks on 1 card and not deal you any damage.
Right.
Yeah, that's rough.
And that can make a difference in the late game if you're at 5 life and you have 1 shielded hand. Because
against some decks it's not a big deal. Dragon Knights, they're just so big and just like in that late game, that's the last thing you want to happen.
Very true.
To waste a turn.
Anyway, and the other that's how stars and how it happens with stars. It's just to protect yourself from getting penetrated. Protect yourself because they have a big dick sword of their own now. Every Dragon World has some type of big dick sword.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pay a gauge and a life and equip.
It's okay. Think about it. Dragon Ein has the biggest dick sword.
Yes, it does.
I mean, are we including Ritter on this?
No, that's not even a sword.
That's not a sword. That's when humans and dragons combine for a golden.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
For a golden future of justice.
Just gonna stay away from that one, Tsuki. Anyway, you're gonna want again penetrate. In this format especially, penetrate seems to be popping up everywhere. Everyone has a type of form of penetrate. Jack Knight's other ability also, when Jack Knight has another thing, it's one of the Dragon Arms that says when this card is in the soul of the card, when it deals damage, destroy a weapon. Dragon World players, losing a weapon is crucial if we can't get another one out. Because now we're half-assing it. We're trying to come back from taking a big loss.
Yeah, pretty much.
And let's not forget that the new Punisher can be used at any point. You don't gotta be at 4 or less life.
You mean Radiant Punisher?
Radiant Punisher. You can play 2.
Radiant Punisher is basically, yeah, you don't have to be at 4 or less life. You just meet the condition and burn for 4 damage, no matter what the opponent's at.
Exactly.
You could put a Vogel in Jack and hit for 8 damage in 1 turn.
Yep. It does damage. We have to stop ourselves. We need to pretty much play Thunder Knights in disguise.
Pretty much.
Use the move ability, abuse Bond, and play shields. But the thing that Thunder Knights are lacking that we have is a little bit more draw power.
Right. Is Juan alive?
Maybe. And on the other side of the meta is Hero World. Especially nowadays, Dark Heroes. Schwartz. When Schwartz hits the field, it pops a card. Sure, the way the counter timing works is that when it enters the field, they choose to activate it, then you have to pick a monster and then you have to hit the other one. But if you bond your mover, you're protected from attacks.
Right.
And now with the new drum, Rescue Dragon...
Oh, God, yes.
What's that?
Sexy drum that I now have 3.
I said, oh, yes.
Oh, the new drum just makes me angry because it's just like... it's not a counter ability to restand, it just restands.
Hey, Matt, you and I should play a game on Area.
I'm all for it.
I have rescue drums.
I made a Hero World deck on area just for my friend Gary to try to help him out.
Here's the thing. Last Friday I went to my locals to buy up some boxes of Shadowverse Hero to make a deck. I left with 2 decks.
Savage.
Everything in that set is broken.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not Dragon World.
Also, another thing that Hero World has, they have their own form of Wrath of Dragon.
Yeah.
I think it's, if you are transform, it's +4/+4. There's no counterattack.
Oh, you mean it's the new suit?
Yeah, I think so. The
Yeah,
names are so ridiculous, I just stop reading them.
There's supposed to be a counter on it.
There is, and it already got a rod.
Yeah. Broke as hell.
It is broke as hell. It's just...
You just don't get counterattack.
It doesn't matter. You just want to keep your drum on the field. You want to keep either emergency launch Decker drum on the field, or you want to play Rescue Dragon Justice drum. And
No, here's the thing. You only get 2,000 if you cast it on drum.
Well, if you're transformed, doesn't it give you +4?
No, if the card you're using it on is your transform weapon.
True.
That's why it's not as broken.
But for Prominence Burst, it's still broken.
Oh, for Prominence Burst, it kills.
Especially, yeah, that's the whole combo that I'm worried that the meta is facing right now. It's you drop Rescue Dragon Justice drum, you drop Prominence Burst. You have to stop drum's attack at all costs. And Hero World does have a spell nullifier.
Yeah, well, here's
that's what you have to worry about, because I feel as Dragon Knights you should be able to deal with Justice Drum rather efficiently.
I know we're not the Hero World discussion, but side tangent, that's why Justice Will Prevail is better for Prominence Burst. It's the new suit sucks because it doesn't give you a counterattack. That's about it. That's like the only story there.
Well, that's a very valid, very valid point to bring up, because we need to know what we're going to run.
That's
to
true.
Try to stop that.
Yeah.
If the deck has more tendency to play one over the other for basically obvious logical reasons, then
now that I can put my input on that because I actually have the deck now. It's legit and good to go. But Justice Will Prevail is what you're going to see most of the time. If someone has It's the New Suit and they're casting on drum, you especially shouldn't be worried if they're casting on drum.
Well, a lot of people actually play both. They play a combination of +2/+2 counterattacks and the +2/+2 that can turn to a +4/+4.
Really? But it doesn't turn to +4/+4.
Yeah, if you transfer, when I'm attacking them, they'll play it.
Right.
Also, there is, on the other side of the Hero World, there is the Geronimo of their deck that can gain a soul every turn.
Oh, you mean Rescue Dragon Force Arms?
Yes.
Yeah, that shit's broke. I played 2 of it.
What is it, 9/2/7?
It's 8/2/7, has double attack. Once per turn, you put any superhero card from your drops node into its soul, which is 95% of your deck.
Very true.
And Hyper Energy is a superhero, if that doesn't help.
Hyper Energy is a superhero, and specifically, I play...
So you Hyper Energy that you pay 3 gauge, and you put Hyper Energy in the soul of the freaking card.
Right. Think about this, though. If it's a Rescue Dragon deck or a superhero deck, they're gonna play 4 Night Stalker, and if they can get their hands on an account Dawn, that's 5 size zeros to go with it, and 1 of them regenerates.
Hero World's the meta.
Pretty much. That's why I played all that.
My answer for the drum and a size 1 that are attacking, Night Counter.
Night Counter will wreck drum.
Night Counter
unless they have that as an after image. That will save drum. But that's a 1 in 4 chance.
That's a card that's becoming a problem. I think it's going to be it's not a broken card. It's not like an overpowered card. It's a good card. It's a great healthy card. The problem is what deck it's in is going to be an issue.
What it's being used for.
Yeah, and what it's being used for. And honestly, I've seen that card played a lot more. When that card's played, it seems to have a lot more impact on the game than the Justice Will Prevail at times. Honestly, more often.
Seriously, because you're not getting because you just wasted a card and now you can't get rid of anything.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah, it's the barrier of their deck.
Yeah, that's even better. It's just so good.
It's just.
Oh, but think about it. Northern Bard gives Justice Drum a move.
You know what? A lot of people have actually been playing with the drum. Hero Climax. Hero Climax is something.
I do that. That's broke.
I've been afraid of that lately, but it's never really come down consistently. But I think people are realizing how to play the card. Yeah. And I haven't seen it yet. But
I
again,
play.
it's only been out for a little while. But I did the whole strategy. But like, I haven't seen much of that card pop up yet. But I am worried that that card will pop up.
You see, here's what I love to do. I love to play Prominence Burst as a weapon only. I hate playing it as a monster. Then I play 6 size 3s, 5 size 0s, and all my size 3s have double attack, and I always have a Hero Climax in hand. How's that? I am not afraid to play Force Arms on my right because it has double attack.
It works. Also,
Yeah, it does.
they have a size 1 that's pay a gauge and draw a card. They have their Molly.
Also, they have, if you really need to, Justice Drum is not only a great attacker, it can be a one-time shield. They have Dragonic Formation for superheroes.
Yes, they do. But going back to it, Dragon Knight's answer to that would be either Knight Counter or Blue Shield or Skies even. Because most of the time I move Lennis to center and then I bounce my cards back. That's the whole main reason. I sat on I came home from work one night, sat on my deck and said, what's going to stop Drum? What's going to stop Stars? And what's going to stop me from getting penetrated? And that goes back to Dungeon World. Dungeon World has always been a problem for Dragon Knights. Dungeon World has been a problem for Dragon World. What you got to do is, if you can't stop Tetsuya from link attacking, don't attack it. Start attacking them. They can get their resources back in one turn. They have they have ore supplies. They have too much.
That's a problem I see people try to play the advantage game with adventurers, and I'm like, don't you realize it's exactly what they want? They want you to do that. They want you to play the resource game with them.
And then they also have a new card, Crossbow, where it's destroy a monster.
Oh yeah.
Defense.
Now,
this is defense.
Out of my top the worlds that I play, dungeon enemies is one of them, and I'm starting to realize that like hitting crossbow is so amazing and so bad in this meta at the same time. Like it's such an amazing card, but like
it just depends
I'm
what
starting
world
to
you're
realize how
playing
bad
against.
it is. Yeah, like well, thing is that like with the meta being it, a lot of heroes are humongous, and the 4K defense, which is
regard the anime for what you're talking about, sir.
what are you talking about?
Cyber Police Lightning Chaser made its first appearance, and within the next 30 seconds, it gets crossbowed, and that's one of Hero World's main Gauge Excel cards.
Who gives a crap about the Gauge Excel card? I'm worried about getting punched in the face, sir.
Dude,
Like-
the Gauge Excel card is how it punches you in the face. Gauge Excel is part of punching you in the face.
They have a card. Doesn't matter.
Hyper energy, sir.
There you go. That's the card.
always have
Stop
hyper energy.
talking
to me about
There is
Gauge
no
Excel.
contest.
Oh my god. Like, I'm more worried about the stupid rescue dragon that comes out of the hand stopping my battle phase than I am about a stupid gauge.
Caliburn Grief.
Oh my god. It's a freaking El Quixote. Nobody cares. it's like, honestly, that is the least of your worries.
El Quixote is necessary. That card's not even necessary. Just play 4 hyper.
It's not.
Have a deck.
It's, I mean, no. It's a great card, but come on.
Oh, yeah.
Lightning Chaser is the least of your freaking worries when it comes to it. If you're worried about Lightning Chaser, you just need to stop playing the game.
Anyway, going back to it, the way Dragon Knights are styled these days is we've got a combination of all our past selves. We have an aggro rush. We're trying to hit for crit, but we're also drawing. We have a good balance of things. The deck synergizes well when you toss in Lennis and Lincoln with any combination of Dragon Knights. I know that we have a Rapier clone. You can play Red Baron if you really want to really play Thunder Knights in the Skies and move. But there's so many combinations. We could sit here for hours and talk about how many different types of decks we've come up with.
Yes, we could.
Speaking of which, we should probably do a quick run through of probably the smallest topic of the night, Jake, because I know you've been really, really helpful throughout the entire stream, but you didn't get a chance to really talk about drums at all.
Yup. Alright, hold on. I have to set this up correctly. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to screen share. Because it's the smart thing
but
to do,
meanwhile, I honestly, me personally, I think as far as why he's doing that, because I really didn't go into where I think generic dragon should go exactly. It's just aggro.
Daniel,
I really honestly
I'm
think
going to let you know something. A lot of my drum build specifically, and a drum build, involves generic dragon building. So I will loop back around to the very beginning of this stream. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Alright. Can y'all see me, just for technical reasons?
Yes.
We can see your screen.
What we've got here is drums and crimson battlers. Now, to loop back around the entire topic, both of these rely heavily on generic Armor Dragon ideas. Like, Crimson Battlers, because most Dragon World decks play fists now and just as a weapon, you're relying a lot on your Crimson monsters, and because they're all Crimson, they all have fists, they're all just, it seems generic by image. But I'm going to quickly go through your best Crimson Battler cartridges. There's not as many of them. Heavy Impact. Oh my god, this thing is the best.
That's like
Size
the
2,
whole reason I'd want to play Crimsons.
Link attack and destroy a card. Not a monster, a
Why?
card.
Doesn't have
Gets
to
rid of
hit.
Glory Seeker. Before Kaiserline was a thing, I played in the last tournament before that was a thing. Gets rid of Glory Seeker, gets rid of Hyperion, gets rid of every weapon, and got rid of Cradle. Cradle, get the hell out of here.
And you know what else?
You have 5 soul, I don't care.
Like,
No,
check
no.
it out. Check it out. You don't have to hit with this. You can, even if they negate
have to
the
hit.
attack.
But you know
They
what?
can negate the attack and you still pop a card.
It still goes off.
Yo,
Yup.
that card broke with the promo that says when this card link text with a fist, restand the fist.
Oh, yeah. I have that one in here, don't worry.
You
This
just
is Catapult Knuckle Dragon. Basically, he's Tetsuya for your fist.
yeah.
And as a monster himself, because Tetsuya is viable on his own. He's 1,000 points stronger than Tetsuya, and even without a fist, he can actually do a little bit. He's actually pretty viable if you put him in size 1s. It actually works. I've tested it. You've got Spin Nail. This is your 6/2/2 clone, or the original. Thousand Rapier's been cloned many times.
Mm-hmm.
The weirdest thing, Thousand Rapier even has a clone in Crimson Battlers. 2 of them. Makes no goddamn sense.
No sense.
You have two move guys, which move is very important to you in Crimson Battlers because you rely on your weapon. You've got Burn Guts, which comes in the in Neo Enforcer, and you've got a Trial Deck one, which is a size 2, so you can have double move for all you care. Now this guy, Ignited Dragon, if you can get 4 of him, you want 4 of him.
I got 4 of him so quick.
As soon as you. The only reason you should ever play this card is if your first turn's the only thing you got, or you already have a fist. And if you drop it while you already have a fist, free 3 crit, and it's broke. But you need to play 4 of him or play none of him, and I hear he's been hard to get.
He is.
Just scrolling through my list.
Oh, I guess this might be a nice time to plug in. I have 8 of him.
Oh my god, you dick.
So anyone who needs a playset, let me know.
Now, here's the thing. When it comes to drum decks, here's your first advice. All your size 2 should be drum related because it's drum. But your size 1 and maybe 3 and maybe 0 lineup needs to have a purpose. A singular purpose. If it's to get you gauge, be it so. If it's to be a Crimson Battler engine, let it be. But I've also seen 2 Thunder Knight engines. Now that's very hard to control, but it works.
I have an idea. Well, here's an idea I actually put together. When I first made Crimson Battlers, I said they need a little more help. So I splashed in cards with inherent move like Fawn, and then I put in Super Armor Dragon, Drum Breaker Dragon.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Because playing with +3/+3 counterattacks, it lived. Even if you got rid of a soul, it lived and got counterattacked.
Alright. So here's what I got. There's one Crimson Battler that is great in either of those builds. A Crimson Battler drum, or drums in general, if your size 1s are meant for gauge. Your weapons are most likely fists, so Rock Bunker Dragon enters and it gives you a free gauge. You want gauge. In most of the time, your 1s are going to be... I'd say the best suggestion for your 1s in a drum build is getting you gauge. That's what you want. The more gauge, the better. I don't care if you have 16 cards in it. You want all of it. Even though your size 2s are mostly drums, there's a couple of splashes you can make. You can make Cut Whip Dragon, because 4 crit, why the hell not? There's a bunch of impacts. Size 3s are all on splashes, but also Drum Bunker Dragon Father. You're not going to utilize it for his ability, because I don't think there's many fathers besides Donnell.
Oh. Damn it.
I don't think your kid's old enough to play yet.
No, this game will probably be long gone by then, I'm sure.
But it's really not... It may be free to call, but it's not your ideal drum for drum. Size 3s, there's a couple of things that aren't drum that you could consider. You could consider Tenbu. I would never play more than 2.
Yes, Tenbu Paratrooper.
It's Paratrooper's an idea, but Tenbu, if you're going to play him, 2 or nothing. Never more, never less. Any size 3 you should play in a drum deck should probably be at 2, in my opinion. I have 2 Death Sickle that I'm holding for myself. He's great, and it's okay that he doesn't have Soul Guard, as we talked about earlier. Inferno Armor, great at 2, and Dual Wield. I don't know how I feel about him, because he's also an evolution, but he's very gauge heavy to call. I don't know if it's worth it.
Nope.
He should have move.
Yeah, don't play dual.
Right, but I've been given advice to try it before, so I'm just putting generic
Listen,
opinion.
it's always great for trying it, but
Right.
He doesn't
I don't
have
think
move.
he's
If he
good
had
unless he has move.
If he had
You
move,
need to put that Soul Guard to use. If he had move, I'd play him any day.
3 gauge for no move is really hurts.
yeah.
All right. So along with Guns Knuckle, you have Guns Knuckle Dragon, which is a great Crimson Battler. It's drum, but size 1 and a little weaker. Great for penetrate.
Link for 5.
And when it comes to a drum deck, I think there are 3 things you should focus on: keeping your Soul Guard, but it's the least priority; having move, and having penetrate. You should focus on cards with those keywords. Along with that, the ideas of constantly getting gauge. And this is if your engine isn't Crimson. That's what I do, and I think it runs very well. For example, I've thought of splashing Scorching Crimson Battler Drum. Works in either build. Call it for a gauge, has the same stats as regular drum. No Soul Guard, but instead, you equip from your drop zone, if it's a fist.
It's pretty interesting.
And it's great
for
when there's so much item hate around here. Problem is, in real life, it's a promo, so it's hard to get.
Yeah.
Now, what's
I've only
one
seen
thing
one.
we never play? This.
Ew. Fire.
Why not? But look how awesome he
Because
looks.
it's disgusting.
He looks absolutely awesome, though, man.
No, it's not worth it.
You got to play the 1 copy in drum. It's not drum dock deck with at least 1 copy. Come on.
But this is a spec spell I've thought about. The plus on your Crimson monsters, no matter what the build is, okay, but you mainly want to play Ring of Crimson for its item bring back card. If your item would be destroyed, pop the spell, and it bounces to your hand instead of being destroyed.
How many of those would you play?
It would be great, but I wouldn't play it if you're not Crimson based, because it's not as viable.
Oh my
as you
god,
think.
it's a red dragon.
Yeah, it is.
That's
You've
very
got
interesting.
Dragonic Thunder, Dragonic Directive. Skies in your hand is great, but not as much use as you think it has. But it has some. Wrath of Dragon is okay, but you can live without it when you have Drago Defense and Drago Energy. You want counterattack more often. Dragonic Survive. Not worth it, but you can try it out if you feel you have enough gauge.
The power.
And Dragonic Air Raid. Bitch, love the fuck out of this card.
Expensive, but okay.
It's expensive. Dragobond and Dragon Barrier, both viable options. Personally, I found a way to work without it. But you can try it. I would say if you make trial runs with it, play 2 of them to start, and start out with 2 Dragobond. Not 1 and 1, you need 2 or 2. And you gotta start with Dragobond. That life gain may help you more often.
That is a 4 of.
Dragonic Loop is great on monsters that can't return to the hand. Or if you're on your last soul for a Drum Breaker, which is a staple, obviously. Dragonic Formation is if you're crazy about move. Dragonic Paratroopers to drop a Soul Guard drum in your center, or a Tenbu, because why not? You've got your 3 budget Dragon Shields, which are Gold Shield, White Shield, and Primeval. These 2, like I've explained before, for reducing instead of nullifying, and Primeval is for Ozzy, because Ozzy is a huge threat to you.
Ozzy's annoying.
Ozzy's very annoying. Let's get on to our main drums here. I don't think Buddy Drum, like normal drum, I call him Buddy Drum, is viable at all anymore. He's made for generic armor dragons. What you want is something with an ability. So get Crimson Battler Drum, even though they're 15 a pop for a rare.
Seriously?
Yeah. Check it. Go look up on eBay. Go look
No,
it.
you're kidding me.
I have 2
They're
buddies.
at least
I'll sell
10 to
one.
15 a pop.
Damn.
But Crimson Battler Drum has all the needs that regular drum has, and you can get penetrate when your engine's a fist. So it serves the same exact purpose. Now, personally, I'm crazy about move and penetrate. So I play Fang Slade Drum. He's no gauge. He's basically Dragon Knight Hartman. So free move, 5/2/5. Easy.
I have a foil if you want.
Nah, I'm good. Though you have two options of another penetrate for a base. You have Barrier Breaker, who's pay 2 gauge and penetrate for 3, or you have the newer one, Spinning Lance, which I'd say play Spinning Lance. Penetrate for 2, but when he deals damage, you pop a size 1. That's potentially destroying 2 monsters at one time. Way more worth your 2 gauge. Now you have 10,000. If you can grab 2 of these, have at it. I don't believe in it, but have fun.
Hey, runner matchup, man.
No.
He's like, no.
Fifth Omnilord, for Look into the Future, because we're going to do that a couple times. Look into the future, Omnilord Drone, you don't need him for his ability. He's got 6 stats in some cases, but you mainly want to play this and either sit on it in your center, which happens a few times, or you're going to evolve right away.
Can't be called a center, sir.
Oh, he can't? Yeah, no. then you want to evolve him right away.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's the only thing you'll ever need him for. His effect is useless.
Why?
No, his effect's not useless.
Thundermine is it's plot armor. He is plot armor. His effect is plot armor.
If you dealt damage, which means if you get attacked.
If your life is 6 or less.
How many
You have to be at 6 or less.
If your life, no, wait. No, let's look at this logically. Actually, what that effect says to me, being that most monsters are 2 critters or higher, what that says to me is if my life is 8 to 9 life points or less, destroy a monster when I get attacked.
Okay, I read that in the wrong order. You're right.
So
I'd still say evolve it as fast as you can, though. I'd say evolve it as fast as you can.
Well, I'm just saying though, it's I really honestly I agree with you. I look at this for drum. I'm looking forward to this because I picked up my play set of drums. I'm looking forward to this for the Soul Guard purpose because as of right now, there's only 2 legitimate drums you want to look at for Soul Guard. That's the regular drum and the penetrating drum.
Crimson. Crimson could put out a good Soul Guard.
Also,
no, I'm saying Crimson drum, not Thunder Knight's drum. Crimson drum and the regular drum. Now we have more pay 1 gauge and get a Soul Guard, so this is really good for the deck. And its effect is a lot better than just 6 or less life. It's actually like 8 or less life. If you get hit at 8 life with a 2 crit monster, the effect will still activate because at the time it activates, you'll be at 6 life.
Right.
So this is really good.
Here's my opinion about this card is that.
Well, you're alive.
Yes, he's alive. He's back. We thought you fell asleep.
I don't have much to say. I just have I'm very low on words when I have to say. But what I found with this card is I'm at 6 life or I'm at whatever life, and my opponent will go out of his way to attack this.
Yes.
To get it out of the way.
It's a good death fodder.
So then he can then maybe try to attack or whatever. So if you have it on the field, it's like another shield because if you're here's the thing, you deal a damage to yourself, his effect happens. So you put a fist on yourself that costs a life, it goes up.
No, it doesn't go up.
It's not being dealt damage. That's paying
well.
Also, let's not forget that this could. How many times have Dragon World players been sitting at 5 or less life, and we're just like, okay, we're saving our shields when we're like at 3, you know?
Right.
We sit at 5 life a lot.
Yeah.
But in a sense, your opponent will attack this out of the way. It will attack this.
No. That's definitely a valid statement as well. And they're either going. This is a card that's going to make people go either. You're going to force your opponent to make a decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's 3 crit.
Alrighty.
You can't beat it. It's 3 crit with 6,000 attack.
Like, come on, man. I take that all day long. Like the bitch part about that card is getting 4 of them. That's going to be the problem.
All right. So moving on, we have what I like to call Baby Drumbreaker, or should I say Thunder Knight's Drum?
Ugh.
Now, if you play this in a drum deck and you're not trying to figure out a Thunder Knight size 1 lineup, you never put a soul in this. Never take a second Thunder Knight's Drum and put a soul in it and play this at 2 or 4. It's up to you. But if you like playing the way I do, move and penetrate are on your side for this. And that's what you need it for. You can move it to the center, kill it off, and while you have it, penetrate as much as you can. And now that we've talked about Drumbreaker, let's move on to Drumbreaker. I don't think I need to explain this, right?
It's good card because good.
It's good card because good, because should be staple of deck.
Because we play good cards because they're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Play 4 of. Evolve like a jack. What I see on areas, people don't realize they keep the soul that's on their already field drum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
and
difference
it's like,
between
it evolves like
between
jack.
put this card on. There's a difference between Archangel and this card. There's a difference between put this card on top of something and then put cards into something's soul.
Right.
There's a big difference between the two.
And what I love, just to be annoying to my opponents when I'm playing against my friends, you have move, but you also can act in your main phase to move. It's the same thing. I just go move to center, move to right, and my friend's like, why?
Because I can.
Because I can, bro. Because I can.
That was a plot device ability.
Right.
No,
So,
it really works well in tandem with the zeros, though. It really
Oh,
does.
of course.
so next we have Drum the Future. This guy should be better in generic armor dragons.
Yeah.
Now, when you put him in drums, he's an 11 beater, which is great. His defense is god awful for what he is, though,
Yeah.
and 3 crit.
It's so hard to get him to work in that deck.
Right. So I would say he's sideboard because his ability is basically an impact in a monster.
It just says Ein, bye.
Yeah.
Much.
It was really meant for Ein. It was literally the answer to Ein.
Yes.
It's just
Drum the Future is a plot armor. Drum
I love
the Future is legitimately plot armor.
It
Give
is.
me more plot armor to beat the best decks in the game.
It
Yeah.
literally
Do we have plot
evolved
armor for Hero World, please?
Oh no, right? But now we're gonna move on to the size 1s. First of all, there's one drum size 1 that people can get in English in real life.
Good luck getting
This
your hands
bitch.
out, though.
Suck dick drum.
Yeah. 'cause that's
Basically,
just to get
he
it.
makes the deck more broken than it already could be. Pay 1 gauge,
Oh, so
and
consistent.
by paying the call cost of the thing you're bringing back, Monster Reborn a drum from your drop zone, and add this drum to its soul. Yup.
Yeah, but that card goes for a pretty penny.
Yeah, I paid I paid $40 for 2 of them, and I
You know
think
what
it's worth it.
You know what I like about this card the most? The
What?
fact that it forces you to pay the call cost, which means basically you not only get to play a drum, but you get to play it powered up.
Right.
Drum was
All right,
just
so
I'm
let's move into our items here, because this is an important thing to think about. There's a lot of ways to go. You're focusing on a triple formation, so depending on what your impacts are, and what your build and what your spells are, and sometimes what your size 1 engine is, it really does matter. You've got your fists, where I would say you stick with Sunshine Impact, Drago Knuckle, or Drago Blaze.
I say
Don't
play
want
it
the rest of these other fists. They're subpar to your 3 options that you already have.
Yeah.
Do a 3, 2, 1.
You could not get much better than this. 3 crit, get you gauge, or get you high stats.
Or
There's
go
really
plot device again.
3 options. There's only one sword you need for your entire deck, and that's Drum Sword. That is Drum Sword for sure. Because the only and with this, we spoke it up before, pay 2 life if you don't have a drum, otherwise pay 1 life. Now, paying a life for your weapons, the way I build my deck is every weapon needs me to pay a life. I don't want to spend gauge if I don't have to.
Right.
So I can sit with 2 crit weapons in the very least. I'm okay with that. But what I rely on Drum Sword for is its return to the deck or hand thing and get an extra critical. Because in my deck specifically, I love Dragon Return System. Love the fuck out of it. Oh my god, I sit there with 8 gauge by the end of turn 2. It's beautiful. But 3 crit, otherwise 6,000 power, it's easy. Now, moving on to that, you've got your size 1s and 0s should be generally considered the same category, but they need to have a purpose. So, Missile Bunker will get you gauge no matter what, and you play Boomerang if you're going to play Dragon Return System for more gauge.
But Dragon Return System
Extra
also
attacks.
activates with Missile Bunker.
Right. It's whatever activates first, but still, even without Dragon Return System, play Missile Bunker. It's a free gauge. Why not?
Again, well,
And it has
again, with,
Penetrate, which helps my Penetrate fetish.
and again with Boomerang, the fact that you're using Super Breaker Dragon, it allows you to get 4 attacks per turn and still defend yourself. Because a big problem I have with Super Dragons was, because I was running 8 zeros, I would
Right.
move, like, let's say I move General Boldness to the center to defend myself on my opponent's turn.
Right.
and I would have like, oh, I got these 2 boomerangs in hand. This is awesome. Oh, wait a minute. Then I cut off my weapon because I can't move my boldness.
Right.
So, like, you know, that effect actually is very, very potent.
Right.
I really like that about breaker.
Now let's move on. My size ones specifically are meant to get me gauge. That's one engine of doing it. Playing so generic armor dragons that your things are meant for gauge and otherwise you don't care. Like Venom Harp Dragon and Twin Brutus Dragon are 2 great options for this.
Love both of those cards.
Both of them. One destroys to get you gauge, and one of them is Quixote. All the gauge, all the power. Now to fill a penetrate fetish, you can have where is it? Nope, I just said that twice.
Yes, you did.
You can have All Pike Dragon, which is penetrate for 2, but you got to pay a gauge, or you get his stronger power, lesser crit brother, which is a free call Tuxor Dragon.
Yes,
Penetrate 1. It really doesn't matter in the end if you focus on penetrating. It really doesn't matter. Now, we've explained our size zeros, but now to people out there who are in the current meta, don't play Count Dawn. Don't.
Just stop.
It is
yeah,
not
please.
worth your time. Compared to something like Tomahawk and the other size zeros you want to use, because you're not using Dragon Knight.
But Jake, a one of is a staple.
What? Fuck that shit.
Don't you know that a one of is a staple?
Totally, man. But don't waste your time with Count Dawn.
You know what I found with Count Dawn? People are using him wrong.
No, I love Count Dawn. I put him in every other deck I own.
Oh,
Just don't put him in this.
They went to go play him after they drew, and I'm like, you can't do that.
Oh, that's dumb.
And
Yeah,
I was
no.
just like...
No, you charge the shit. You charge the little fucker right away.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, you have a wide choice of impacts. Wide. And it all depends on how you build your deck. So there's ones that start with being very generic weapon-based, which are Crimson Soul Grenade, which is deal 4 if you got a weapon.
Come on, man.
And
You
oh
didn't
my
include
God,
Reckless Anger?
And Barbarish Anger, which is the same thing for 3.
It's a mini Punisher.
It's a mini
No.
Punisher.
Where's Reckless Anger? You're playing with a weapon.
Reckless Anger?
It's a weapon. It's a weapon-based impact.
No, you don't play Reckless Anger. It's not worth it.
We don't play any...
No.
They don't play.
No. Reckless Anger is not for you. Okay. Next.
The attack can't be nullified.
Doesn't matter. What happened next is, for future reference, this bitch. The Omnilure Technique. Giga Howling Crusher.
This is just...
This is made as plot armor for Omnilure Drum, but when it becomes an actual card, is the perfect card for drum decks. Basically, you can only use it when you have an item equipped. No life break. But your buddy monster has to be a drum card, and that drum has to be on the field. Now, when you cast this card for 3 gauge, it's not an attack. You just deal damage that can't be reduced, equal to the combined number of the drum and your weapon.
Imagine if that card was for Hero World.
No, think about this. You can deal 10 damage in a turn with this card without attacking.
Yeah.
Play it in Dragon Iron and get your size 3 drum out there and have the stupid start. That's 10 damage.
Wow.
Or 9 if you want to play a regular drum.
Screw Ozzy.
Yup.
Well,
That says choose a monster on the field. That says choose a monster on the field. So I could choose any monster on the field.
Yeah, and then, no monster in the center because Dragon World.
Unless it's not.
Now, if you're running Fists, which most Dragon World decks are, you can definitely use Gigantic Crusher. Definitely works in here.
Ew, no.
But I, personally, have
Clearly
resorted to many forms of Gargantua Punisher.
You can only play Punisher if you have the SP.
No, I don't play Gigantic.
No,
I play OG. I play OG Punisher. I have every version of Punisher, like promos, trial decks, set 1, except for the set 1 SP. I don't have that one.
Hi.
I know. I saw them. Remember?
Yeah, right.
But OG Punisher, at least while I look at my build, OG Punisher is great. I can always pick up 4 gauge. I can't pick up 5. And in the end, it's up to you how you want to build this drum deck. Your drums are going to be drums. There's certain ones you never want to play, but you're still going to have a lot of drums. What really matters is your size 1 and possibly size 3 lineup. That's where every drum deck is different. It really matters. Trust me. You can have generic. You can have a Thunder Knight. You can have a Spin Net. You could have a Crimson, or you could do something completely different. But don't play Blue Sky Knights.
I think that's a great way to end that one.
Moral of the story: don't play Blue Sky Knights.
Don't play Blue Sky Knights.
And that's drums and red and crimson. How was my attempt at crimson?
Good job, man.
Yeah.
That was really good.
All
Gentlemen,
right.
I don't think we've had any questions.
No.
Juan?
I wouldn't know because I can't check the chat. My devices hate me.
I think one went somewhere.
I'm
Probably.
ready.
Somewhere
Oh no, he's good. He's alive. He's alive.
Oh, he's here. Okay. Come on, check
We
the
don't have
comments.
any questions. I don't know. We still don't have any
I
questions.
bet you $10 this is gonna get post comments. Tons of them.
Probably.
Oh, of course.
Yo, Juan, I'm gonna message you Team Burning Infinity link later. Just put that. Thanks. Put that into the video description. Can you do that for me?
Do what?
If I email you the link to my channel, can you put that in the description, like near the top?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Done.
What is that?
Life. The circle of life.
The circle of Buddyfight.
Circle of Buddyfight since I looped all the way back around to generic Carbon Dragons.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, so looking at generic Armored Dragons and talking about the meta and stuff like that, again, I still feel like big, nasty dragons is probably the way to go.
Okay.
Huh? What'd you say?
I didn't say where drums will go. They're not going to have a place. Not for this meta. Maybe next meta. There we go.
You don't think they'll do well in this meta? You don't think they'll do well in this meta?
No, they won't do well. They just have a lot of problems with Kaiserine. You don't draw a Dragon Shield at all, you lose. Like, your move monsters mean nothing.
Yeah.
And move is a lot of your deck.
Yeah.
Move is a lot of your deck, and if you don't draw a shield, you're pretty much gonzo in 2 turns.
I think we got it all.
Yep. Don't play Blue Sky Knights.
Yeah.
Play Night Counter. It's too good.
Yep.
Juan, you wanna add something to that?
Sky Knights are fine.
Lies.
Guys are bad.
What?
Lies.
You guys are ridiculous.
Lies. They're never fine.
Goodness gracious.
I'm good, man. I think unless we have anything else, I'm pretty much done.
I think we did that.
Yeah, guys, 2 o'clock in the morning. We've been talking about dragons for 4 hours. We could probably go on 4 hours more, but but you guys did a good job.
Guys, my dick is rock hard from this talk. I need to go get off my penetrate fetish.
Okay.
All right. That could have waited till after the live button was cut. Okay, cool. Guys,
Don't play Blue Sky Knights.
I hope you got something from this. Just a couple of guys rambling about their experiences and what they see.
We're rambling about
this helps you out.
Dragons.
Yeah, hope this helps you guys out if you're attempting dragons, if you're already an expert player looking for some ideas, or looking to how to maybe take on the new format. And anyone out there who just basically hates dragons because they feel they're overpowered, maybe this should shed a little light on Dragon World, and maybe that might inspire some counter strategies from you to make our jobs a little harder. But I got nothing else to say, so I'm just gonna say goodnight, guys.
Bye. Hope to see you all soon.
See you on the page. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Yes.
Deuces.
You have to hit the stop button.
Hold on a second. And like I always say, guys, I'm not the best Vanguard player or buddy fighter in the world, but
Go subscribe to Team